Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to this episode of T3PO Live. I am your host, VashSky. Welcome to today's show. I cannot wait to get this all kicked off and started. This is awesome. This is great. Whoa, Ruby Hoove already coming in here. Wow. I actually didn't expect that because I had heard that you were down with a migraine. So thank you so much for assisting with the channel right there. Very much appreciate that with the, there you go. That's the one right there with the super sticker. I'll be back. Okay, so you're still not out of the migraine. Or we're praying for you down here. Like I said, you get some rest. I think sleep is the best medicine, as Lou will attest to in just a moment right there. And then we have also the mom here with 199 with a super sticker. Thank you so much. Thumbs up. Very much appreciate everybody supporting the channel and doing everything and following us over from Mr. H. That is tremendous. Thank you so much for all of that. Guys, we have a big show to get to. We have stuff happening all over the Disney world, all over the Disney parks. We've got billion-dollar projects being converted into office space. That's fantastic there. We have new projects that are susceptible to flooding and leaks and have to be closed. So that's great right there. We have park presidents actually changing spots and flipping positions. We have FanFest night details. I mean, we've got a ton of show to get to. But help me with all of that. We have to get our panelists on in order to help us with covering all of this great news. So let me go ahead and welcome the one, the only, the tremendous Lou Wasserman's Ghost. Hello there, Lou.
Wait, you forgot to wake up the Glee Club. Exactly. Here we all are.
I love it.
I'm wondering with all these conversions if they're going to put an NBA experience in the basketball court in the Matterhorn.
NBA. Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's great. For a second there, I thought you said NDA. No. It might as well be the same thing, right? No. NBA experience. Oh boy, good stuff there. Here we go.
For those who don't know, there really is a half-court basketball court inside the Matterhorn.
There absolutely is. It's interesting. I think
because when I think of Swiss mountain climbing, I naturally think of double dribbles. But
naturally, yes. I think OC Register actually put out a great breakdown of that and how there is a court and like where that is. Very, very cool. I'll see if I can bring it up back there. But we also have to honor another guest joining us right now. She's the one. She is the only. All the way from Germany. Here we go. Erika from Erika and Ref. Hello there. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. I am so glad to have you back because you've just been a delight on all of these shows, and it's been a great sport going with us for the couple 4-hour streams that we've had. We're not going to go quite as long today, but we'll still get to as much news as we can possibly cover. And now I've got to welcome in the one, the only, the Thunder, the Nolan Thunder. Nolan Thunder himself. What's going on?
I gotta say, I am just so hyped to not just be here, but did you say they're putting in office buildings? Like, are they gonna put down the posters and we can get a line for those? Like, I'm so hyped. Forget the stupid hotel or stupid Splash Mountain. Give me the Office Depot. I want that.
Just,
yes, I can imagine. You get a spot that there'll be. The good news is, you get your own private office, and it has a shower and a sink and everything. The bad news is we don't turn the windows on because there's screens, and we can't afford the electricity. So,
well, one could say your cadaverous pallor has no windows and no doors.
There you go.
There's no turning back now.
We'll get into all of it right there.
That sound.
Absolutely, right? I love it. You can see right there on your screen. That's the breakdown of the monorail.
My people.
It's good stuff. If we zoom in, we can see that basketball court right there, near the, I would say, like 2/3 top of the Matterhorn at Disneyland. Very, very cool right there. I think there was also some backstage footage of an Imagineer going up there. Yeah, I forget. It was Bob. I think it was Bob Kerr going up there and showing us around. I think the Imagineering story, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, it's very, very cool lore, and I love it to death. Samuel Maine with a $3 super sticker. The guy with the thumbs up. Thank you so much, Samuel Maine. Very much appreciate that. And Paul Pressler is blushing, says Ken Redhide with $2. Yes, he is. He could only imagine the world in which we live in, where you could charge for attractions, get rid of entertainment, reduce operating costs. Boy, oh boy, it's a Pressler world come true.
It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day.
It's terrible. It's awful. Thank you guys so much for that. And yes, hello there. Hello there indeed, Theme Park Wizard. Very much appreciate that. Well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right to our first story of the day. This one's a sad one. Very sad. January 24th, 2025. It was like Friday afternoon. I was talking over with Jonas on the phone. I was like, okay, I think we're good. I think we're all okay. We're all good. We've got the stories for the week, so we're good, right? Nope, not at all. Disney World prepares to permanently damage Hollywood studios and relations with fans of Jim Henson.
Ash, I was in a good mood coming into this stream. Why must you ruin it?
I don't do it. It's Disney. What are you gonna do? You know, it's who we cover.
Disney.
Oh, Disney! How many ways you have managed to screw up today? Let me count the ways. Even the most ardent Disney fan blogs, you can tell this is a pro article, websites and YouTube channels are starting to turn against the imbecilic decisions of modern Disney Imagineers and park leadership. The latest debacle is the decision to destroy Jim Henson's final work of art, Muppet Vision 3D. The attraction has no reason to be destroyed and every reason to be saved. Yet because Disney is determined to plop a Monsters Inc. mild indoor coaster behind it somewhere, close it they must so that they put a Monsters Inc. movie in the theater that no one single person wants. Imagine destroying a legacy attraction and the final work of an American icon so you can insert a modern animated short. I'm sure it will be better than Jim Henson's grand finale. I'm sure. It no longer feels like Hollywood. It feels like a junk drawer. 42% of fans think Disney is quietly ruining Hollywood studios. That by Disney Food Blog. Ugh. Not only will they be destroying Muppet Vision during the height of summer and just as Epic Universe is opening, yes, we'll get to that in a moment, but they're also determined to wipe out capacity at Disney's Hollywood Studios even further. A sit-down restaurant that serves decent Italian food is closing permanently with no replacement, never mind having a retheme and keeping one of the only good food options alive at the park. Nah, let's just destroy it. Then on top of that, they're also destroying Pizza Rizzo, which is a sit-down pizza place. That's 2 restaurants that are being removed with no replacement whatsoever. Who's ready for even longer lines at Disney's Hollywood Studios? Yes, they're getting rid of Pizza Rizzo and Muppet Vision 3D on May 10th. Now, Nolan, I mean, we have a lot going on in 2025. Okay, we got a lot of movie releases and stuff like that, but I thought something was happening in the Orlando area. I want to say May 22nd, I believe. Do you remember what that was, Nolan?
Was it the discount SeaWorld's doing for like the buy one, get one free deal at the hot dog stand or something? It might be something like that.
That's a possibility. That's a possibility.
Perhaps,
but I think
perhaps it was a whole dang theme park opening up right down the street. And when you could get all these wonderful, beautiful, intelligent people coming down to also have a double trip to Disney World with all that hard-earned cash, dinero that they've made. You could have them swarm into this theater, when it's hot, take up all this room and have a beloved memory that's sure to get people to want to come back in this themed world area you could only expand upon if you so desire. They decided not to do that.
That's right. I totally forgot. Okay, so we're opening up.
By the way, just as a kind of a
statistical
comparison, how many seats are there in the current Muppet Vision?
Ooh, Muppet Vision 3D. I have to actually double check. Let me go ahead and find that information for you right now.
Because compare it to the seats in the circus show at Harry Potter, or the dragon show, or the. I'm just saying. Talk about reducing capacity while the other guys are expanding. Talk about charging more money to walk into a place with fewer stuff, and then you have to buy extra park hopping hoo-ha to get to the other one and take time, as opposed to here it all is, have fun.
Exactly. So you have 564 people per show of the Muppet Vision 3D theater there. And right before the biggest theme park to open in the nation in the last 20 years, right down I-4, right before that opens, you're going to close at your Legacy Park a attraction that I would be, I would think everybody would want to see at least one last time before it closes permanently. You're going to close that show down right before everybody goes to Orlando to see the new thing, which is Epic Universe. This is decision-making for the Walt Disney Company in 2025, everybody. Erika, come on. I mean, this is ridiculous. What are they doing?
Killing Hollywood studios while also killing the Disney name. I don't even know why they call it Hollywood Studios anymore. It just seems to be an IP catch-all Disney park at this point.
Yes.
And I have to admit, I kind of forgot or didn't know that they were going to put a Monsters, Inc. show. I must have forgotten.
Yeah,
anyway,
or coaster, whatever they call it.
I think we all want to forget, to be honest with you. So
good job, Erika. You forgot about that. Too. I'm so envious of you.
Look, the point is, they're doing what they've done now 2-3 times, which is chasing fading IPs many years too late. I would venture to say that they did that with Tron. I would venture to say that they've done that with Moana by not giving her, a very popular character, a real attraction long before.
What about Tiana?
Tiana, well,
yeah,
don't get me started. That would be nice if it worked, even. But all I'm saying is, it's like, well, what do we got, rather than what can we create? what have we got that we can pull out and do something? And I mean, I like Monsters Inc. I think it was fun, but it's kind of yesterday's news, isn't it? Or was?
I agree completely.
Really...
You know how with like when they put Splash Mountain in back in the 90s, didn't they have the whole like re-release it in the theater thing just to basically test to know, is this film still relevant? Can we?
Yes, they did, because it had so been disappeared by the censors for so long that it only existed in people's memories and or bootleg copies.
Very good
Where
point.
is that now? Where's the whole Princess and the Frog re-release? Where's the Monsters Inc. 20th anniversary special? Like, I don't remember that 2 years ago.
Well, and the point being that the Muppets are forever. They don't need a new show to be relevant because they're part of so many generations worth of our history and our anyway, you know what I mean. It's just
no, I totally understand what you mean. So Monsters Inc. came out in 2001, and then a couple years later in 2013, Monsters University comes out. But this is basically a dead franchise, and yet we're going to be removing the eternal franchise, which is the Muppets, for Monsters, all while preserving the theater, but not actually having the Muppets in there. It is totally bizarre. Sorry, I think I cut over somebody.
Yeah, they haven't done anything with Monsters Inc. for kids to really know what it is, and for parents to even keep it in the front and center of kids' attention. On top of that, they're creatively bankrupt. So they go into their archives, into the vault, and they pull something off a shelf that was created years ago by Old Imagineering, which would have been a great idea years ago. But so you have like two negatives going here. And then with the Muppets, it goes back to Disney not doing anything with the IP. So it continues to be relevant with today's young generation. They can't say or hold the argument that, oh, it's dead and it's not popular anymore. Well, look at Sesame Street. They are still very relevant, and that's Jim Henson as well. So there again, it goes back to Disney not doing anything with their IPs to continue to have it be relevant for the young generation that's here.
As I heard Jonas say during the pro show today, my catchphrase is relevant again, which is it's worse than that. And here is what I mean. How much did they pay to buy Henson? I don't know, but a lot.
I think it was undisclosed.
And how much, when we know what they paid for Fox and totally ignored so much Fox IP that could have been exploited. Certainly, just look at the Irwin Allen stuff, Lost in Space and Land of the Giants and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Combat and all of the Peyton Place, for God's sakes. There was a zillion TV properties coming out of Fox in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, that if people didn't know them, well, you run them on Disney Plus so people do know them, and then you make something out of them. But what was the point of buying any of these things if all you were going to do was run them into the ground and destroy them?
Valid point. And to answer your question, they bought the Muppets in 2004. And granted, this also included Bear in the Big Blue House, the television show, which I loved when I was younger as well. Right. They bought it in yesterday's money for $75 million. So take that with what you will.
Gotcha.
I loved Bear in the Big Blue House. I remember
culture
being I purposely raised my older son with Bear in the Big Blue House, and he was obsessed with it. In his first birthday party, we did Bear in the Big Blue House, and my father-in-law at the time bought the big elaborate costume and came out, did his own character meet and greet at his birthday party. It was a great birthday party.
Well, and look, at $75 million, this ride paid for it. This attraction paid for it and then some.
Absolutely.
But that's it. And now what? They're going to stick a couple of these animatronics over on the other roller coaster and make it a Muppet rock and roller coaster or something silly like that.
if we're that lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows if they're going to?
I mean,
Right.
for all I know, they're going to put him in the finale at Tiana's because at least they know these work. At least now, when they move them, maybe not.
I want.
Hey, Tiana, we found your jazz band. It's
Finally, the Penguins.
yeah.
The Penguins. I want to bring in another panelist here, and I want to forward this question to them as we do that. Oh, sorry.
I would actually welcome that.
Right,
Just put the chickens from the Muppets in there.
At the finale scene.
And hey, the Swedish chef could be making stuff with her hot sauce, so.
No, there you
I
go.
think what that where Splash Mountain was. People wouldn't have cared at that point.
So I want to ask here, because if we see the concept art, right, of what they're doing here, the Monsters Inc. coaster is going to be built in the far end of the land. There is no reason really why you have to close it right now. And again, we're getting rid of some great audio animatronics, some great story, and obviously the history of Jim Henson, and the legend of all of that. Bob from Berry Place 28. How do you feel about all of this? What is Disney doing operationally? Doesn't make any sense.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Well, I was thinking the same thing. Why do they have to get rid of the Muppets Vision 3D right now? Because you're right, they are building a roller coaster in the back. So to me, I was trying to rack my brain as to why they're doing this so soon. I mean, I know we've got several months before it actually shuts down, but they're not opening up, the roller coaster, and they're not opening up, the land. Well, the land's going to be open, but they're not really doing a whole heck of a lot right away. So I don't know. My only hope is that we still have Mickey's PhilharMagic over at DCA, and it's still the old Muppet Vision 3D theater, and they still have everything there. So my hope is maybe they'll bring the Muppets back over to DCA, even though I know they're moving the Muppets over to where the Rock and Roll Coaster is, and they're going to have Dr. Teeth and his band play, which is great for the people over in Hollywood Studios still. But I'm kind of hoping that they bring the Muppets back to Disneyland and DCA.
And by the way, that concept art is fallacious. Somebody showed this, but the coaster back there, you see those chimneys and things? There's a whole building behind there that they're going to paint to look like it's just those chimneys and there's a sky space. But the actual coaster's in a big building behind that. So why the heck they had to close all this stuff up at the front to do that is anybody's guess.
Right. That's the thing. And think about it. I mean, so Tron took 6 years. Probably not going to take that long. But, I mean, we got 3 to 4 years away before we even see the coaster. And I would say that would be the official debut of the land itself. So why are we closing up Muppets on May 10th? There's no reason to close it right now.
One more reduced capacity, increase wait times, and make people think that there's some reason to buy the Fast Pass stuff.
And that's it exactly. And it is infuriating. They do not need to do any of this. But as Lou mentioned right there, that is exactly why they're doing all of that. Here's
and
the
especially
thing,
to me, the fallacious logic is, well, let's close 2 places that people eat where we make big money. What do those pizzas cost compared to what they cost to produce?
That's a good point. Revenue drivers. Are we closing things now? Especially when, enhanced business will probably come off of Epic Universe's opening, or at least that's what Hugh Johnson said. Why are you closing up stuff right before they get there?
Well, it will briefly, because when you go from May 22nd, is it, to June 7th, people who come for Epic but are fans of this will say, well, we got to go see it one last time. So they might spend one day there. But after that,
And Lou, that's just including the people who can, go like the first 2 weeks, whatever. Like there's like a whole year of 2025 ahead of them. Yeah. And people literally only got 2 weeks to see the Muppets. That is grade A ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, listen, there was a lot of talk during the show earlier. People in the chat saying, well, they got to fire Iger. Well, they got to get rid of Iger. Ladies and gentlemen, I will remind you of Lou's axiom of the showbiz, number 204, A, B, X, whatever number it is. Nobody sets out to make a bad movie, a bad attraction, a bad show, a bad theme park. Nobody. They make what they think is good. So the issue is not, oh, they're trying to destroy it. Oh, they're trying to wipe out Walt. Oh, which all may be in there somewhere in their warped psychology. The issue is, who do you trust to make those decisions as to what is good and what is bad? If they think this is a good idea, they shouldn't be in charge, because it clearly isn't. So that's the problem. It's not just, the one guy. It's this whole culture of, well, there used to be an old joke about the parents go to the band parade from the school, and their kid is famously inept at doing the marching band stuff, but they're standing there smiling, saying, "Look at that! Everybody's out of step but Johnny." So that's Iger. That's Iger. I'm smarter than everybody else, and therefore, you people that think I'm not, who cares? Well, when they stop spending money, maybe you'll care, or somebody will.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, maybe you can save money, perhaps, and perhaps that's the way that they're thinking about our next story right here. Got some breaking news, folks.
To decide
this
if
right
that's
here.
a hippo or an elephant.
It's the Death Star alarm. Okay. This right here from the Wrap. Disney's $1 billion Star Wars hotel to be converted to offices for future Walt Disney World projects. This exclusive Shutter project will not be open to guests anytime soon. Oh, you think so? Oh, let's go ahead and get right into it right here. This is from Drew Taylor from the Wrap. January 30th, 2025. Actually, while we were live at the Pro Show, this was breaking. Those looking for a return to the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, the $1 billion Star Wars-themed hotel and experience at Disney opened in March 1st, 2022, and closed the following September, shows no signs of returning to a galaxy far, far away. According to several sources, including an individual close to the company, the building that formerly housed the immersive adventure located near Disney's Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World is being converted into offices for Walt Disney Imagineering, the secretive arm of the company responsible for theme park attractions, retail locations, and cruise ships. WDI will be using the building as a hub for several expansion projects coming to the expansive Walt Disney World Resort, including, among other things, the Latin America area of Disney's Animal Kingdom that will be home to Encanto and Indiana Jones themed attractions, the upcoming Cars and Disney Villain themed lands opening at Magic Kingdom, Rivers of America, by the way, and Monsters Inc. land complete with the Door Chase coaster arriving at Disney's Hollywood Studios. The Monsters Inc. coaster is perhaps the most controversial. I don't know about that, because it calls for the removal of Jim Henson's beloved final project, Muppet Vision 3D. I would say that Rivers of America is also right up there. Now, this is interesting because Jim Scholl, legendary Imagineer with the company for a long time, recently retired. He put this out on Twitter 3 days ago, on January 27, 2025. It says this: if the former Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel becomes the home for the Monsters Inc. project team, their Imagineers will benefit from short walks to the project site. So, somebody knew something here.
Aren't they going to take them in the box trucks?
Oh, well, and that's the thing, Lou. So the Wrap actually gets into why this area couldn't be used for guest services, because of
it's next to nothing. It's near nowhere. It's off in its own little corner of the magic universe here.
Right. They have to transport guests to this place. It's not anywhere close to the theme park, and yet it is actually preventing expansion in this direction. It is quite bizarre. Guys, Your thoughts on all of this? This is a wild story.
Vash, I have an idea. Okay? Hear me out on this one, okay? So once they, convert the hotel into those offices, it's still a little bit of a ways away, which is also mind-boggling of why they decided to do this in the first place with the Galactic Star Cruiser. So you take all the Imagineers that came up with this Monsters Inc. land idea, you send them over to the offices. You see that little bridge like there in the middle? You close that down or break it down, and then they're stranded on the other side, and they can't leave. So then we go and we protect Muppet Vision 3D. It's a great plan, right?
That's not a bad idea.
Let's explore a few variations on that theme. First of all, what was the name of it? The What was the name of the
Galactic
Star Cruiser?
Star Cruiser?
Yep. No, but the name of the ship in theory and the story.
The
Halcyon or something.
Yeah.
So they're going to change that to the SS Lake Nona.
Oh man.
Secondly, we've all seen those terrible, awful little cubicles called rooms, which as office cubicles have enough space. And hey, every office has its own bathroom and its own wet bar and mini fridge and no window. So are they going to put the Starfield on those screens? Or are they going to put a picture of the air outside in Orlando on those screens? Or are they going to even bother to power them up is the next question.
Why do you need a window? Because
because otherwise it's a cell.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, if they have a window, they'll see all the very upset people having a terrible time at their park. Just no window.
And
everything's
loving
good.
It. But the next question is there somewhere in a deep freeze in that building something like 8 million pounds of blue shrimp that they need to get rid of in the company cafeteria? But seriously,
I know what it is.
This is a $1 billion, 200 room office suite. Is that the most expensive commercial real estate in the history of planet Earth?
This is a great point, and you made it before the show, and I completely agree with you. This is very, very expensive. I don't know if this is the best use of our $1 billion worth of resources.
And yet, they must feel it's a better deal than bringing in those temporary office buildings that they always bring in. That they already have some over there at in Canto Land, don't they? They've shown them going up. So somebody must have crunched the numbers and said, well, we've got this empty building. And of course, as far as this whole idea that, well, they could repurpose it as a dinner theater or this and that and the other, folks, ain't going to happen. The whole idea of this was LARPing and connecting, and it's in its own corner of the universe, literally. It's all well and good to say, hey, we're going to do the Adventurers Club, but only with Star Wars. But the Adventurers Club was in the middle of Pleasure Island. This is in the middle of Nowhere Island. This is lost as far as an island is concerned. God,
it is. It is out there. Go ahead, please.
Have a thought. I think this is where their top secret projects will happen, because it's like an intel squadron where there's no windows, and you might even need a special pass that you cross the ID card on the plate, and and the door just whoosh, opens, and you're in this like secured building. Oh, but they got beds in their offices too, so they'll probably be sleeping anyway.
They have to take the beds out, but or maybe not.
Is this also where Erika? Is this also where Walt's frozen head is located at now?
I don't know about that, but somebody in the chat earlier today, when this story came up, was comparing it to the Hotel California, because you can check in, but you can never leave.
Interesting thing about the rooms here. This is my, I'm gonna, I don't mean
ultimate wide angle. Let's make it look bigger than it is. Picture.
Oh, yes. Absolutely, that is exactly. These rooms were very tiny. And speaking of the reaction to those rooms and so forth, if you go on the Galactic Star Cruiser Wikipedia page, you can find all kinds of information about this. But if we scroll down right here to reception, you'll see right here, early photos of the Halcyon's small windowless cabins went viral before the hotel opened to the public, with many commenters on Twitter complaining that they were not a suitable luxury accommodation. Well, who were those Twitter commenters, I wonder? Well, if we scroll down to the source of this article, we can actually find that it goes back to a Dexerto article. If we click on that, that's the link I had up before, but if we scroll down right here, who's that guy? Who's that guy? What? Wow! So that's it's really something right there.
Of course, the price was ridiculous. Of course, the whole thing was a misbegotten idiocy. But let's just go back to basics. Let's assume we are in this galaxy far away in the future, and we are deluxe guests of the super. This is the Region 7 Seas, not the Disney Wish. Okay, this is the Virgin Atlantic ship, not the Carnival weekend get drunk cruise. would rich people buy this little bitty room? I mean, for God's sakes, it's not a Holiday Inn. And that was the first thing that I saw that I thought, wait, this is seriously wrong. Anyway.
Well, getting back to the whole article about them. What's that, Erika?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say I'd rather stay at the Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, going back to the original article that we're talking about. So look, they were supposed to build Lake Nona, right, for the Imagineers, and that got canceled in 2023 because they're having this dispute with Ron DeSantis, right? And then 10 a.m. September 10th of 2023, what happens? They shut down the Galactic Star Cruiser. I think they had this plan for a while where we're like, you know what? If we're not going to build Lake Nona, we still need to do something with the Imagineers. Let's go ahead and take the property we have. Let's take, the Galactic Star Cruiser. We can convert it over into offices. It won't cost as much as building a whole new building and a place for Lake Nona. And what have Disney been doing? They've been saving a lot of money. So that's one way for them to save money and to, still have the location that they need for, their Imagineers.
Yeah, but remember when all that happened? It was the people who were told they were moving had sold their houses, and now they weren't moving, and they'd have to buy them back, and they couldn't get them for the same price. I'd hate to be grim, and I'm not saying this to harm anyone. I'm really not, because as a veteran of Southern California and its fires, I wonder how many of those people who sold their homes to move to Lake Nona because they thought they had to, had houses in Pacific Palisades that are now ash. I mean, there's so many ways that this can be wiggled around and wandered through. All I know is if it was an office, it would have data ports and stuff. They're going to have to put stuff like that in because that's not there now. They're going to have to do a lot to make this function as an office of any kind, not the least of which might be like a window somewhere and not just that smoking porch that it had.
I wonder if they're going to put windows in. I mean, because obviously there are no windows to that place, which I'm sure they probably will. But
see, they can't do much to it because of the whole terms under which they wrote it off. It can't be, I don't know how all that works as far as the taxes and everything, but I don't think they're allowed to do too much to it because it's officially derelict. When they were supposedly they were storing stuff in there, and that as a warehouse, sure, that's easy. But I don't know. Maybe if you work there, they give you a souvenir glass.
Well,
they already sold those.
Converting into an office, I don't think it's going to be as difficult as everyone thinks it's going to be. Just laying cable. I mean, I'm sure they've already got Wi-Fi built into the building because it was the hotel. And but it's a matter of, converting some of the stuff. But do you think they're not going to get rid of all the Star Wars stuff inside? They'll say, oh, this is the Imagineering thing. And hey, this is our, fun workplace. Hey, you can go over here and play Space Bingo.
But I mean, that's the crazy thing, Bob, is that this is kind of, I don't know, almost like a shrine to Walt Disney Imagineering's big failure, which was this hotel concept on Walt Disney World property, a place that has never seen a hotel ever fail in this spectacular fashion right here. Aren't you kind of working out of the husk of your failure?
Well, but wait a minute. They didn't make the decision to do it. They executed the order higher ups.
Fair point.
What they did, based on the limits of the budget, the limits of the plan, was they were, as they say, just following orders. So I don't know that they have to take responsibility for the failure. They can certainly take responsibility for the fact that it looked pretty good, even if it was misbegotten, and even if it was overpriced, and even if it did have no audience to speak of. So I'm not so sure that that's a big deal. But wow, is there enough parking over there for an office? I don't know.
We got plenty.
They'll build it.
Parking. Yeah.
I'm just saying they don't want to invest any more than they absolutely have to do this.
Don't worry, if they need more, don't worry, Lou, if they need more parking, they'll tear down another beloved attraction just for a parking lot.
Yeah, but the difference is they can't get tax-free municipal bonds to build a parking lot now, unlike before.
Well, that's a good point. I don't I don't know if this actually had a parking lot adjacent to it. I think the plan
did they
was,
bus in the employees too from somewhere else?
Well, they usually do. But for parking for guests, I thought you like dropped off your car and you got like included
And
VIP
they valeted
parking,
to somewhere, yeah. But
Right.
again, there's only 100 rooms or 150 rooms, whatever it was.
Sure.
That's not a lot of cars, all things considered. But still, couldn't be too far away or it would take too long to go retrieve them at the end. Anyway, that's their problem to work out.
What I don't understand is
Loser.
why didn't they just convert the hotel into like maybe not so much a value resort because of all the theming and the technology they put in it, but they could have at least put it as a moderate resort.
Not enough rooms to make it pay for itself. Not enough rooms to make it pay for itself.
Yeah.
But isn't some money better than no money?
Well, but it's not money if you're losing money. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a minimum cost to keeping it open. Look at these two, the Stella Nova and the Terra Luna, whatever, are 700-room hotels. And their value or whatever the right number is. So
that's why it was so expensive?
Yeah. Well, because they were giving you a show. Oh boy!
It was giving you a show, so you had to pay for all those actors and live performers and everything else, and you had to have like a 24-hour operation in terms of the immersive experience that they were providing. That all came at a cost, and unfortunately, 100 rooms just, the
only thing that would have been more embarrassing about it being a 100-room flop at $5,000 a room or whatever would have been a 500-room flop at $5,000 a room, whatever, and $2 billion. So
I heard
in that sense, they didn't build it as big as they could have and made it worse. So
the first iteration of the Galactic Star Cruiser I heard was about 800 rooms with a maximum build out of 1,200 rooms. That got whittled down to 400, and then to 200, then to eventually 100. So it could have been much worse. The Rap had heard rumblings that the building.
So it was intended to be even more elaborate than what we ended up with.
Maybe not elaborate, but certainly bigger.
Certainly bigger. The concept artwork, interesting enough, was far more elaborate in its presentation. Like you had huge windows that people could look out of instead of the small screens that we eventually got. I think the dressings were much more elaborate, but this thing just got cut back. So I think both of you are right.
If it had 800 or 1,200 rooms, those little scavenger hunt games that they played, how many people could you get doing that at a time without, making it into congested hallways and feeling like you're on an elevator in a skyscraper forever?
That's a good point. The Rap had heard rumblings that the building was going to be potentially utilized for a several-hour-long dinner theater type experience that would use the hotel's lobby, used for key storytelling moments as part of the Galactic Star Cruiser, the bridge, the bar, and the restaurant, and that the gift shop would also remain open. But the Rap has now been told quite firmly that the building will not be accessible to guests at all.
Whatever those rumblings were, they got it from somebody who didn't know their you-know-what from their you-know-what, because the terms of that tax write-off wouldn't let them do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even if they wanted to, even if they thought they could sell it, which I don't know that they could. If they were charging $5,000 to stay there for 2 nights and whatever, what were they going to charge for a night for a blue shrimp and a show? I mean, it's not exactly medieval times prices, right? It's got to be double that, triple that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, it's not like, hey, we're in the neighborhood, let's go check it out. You had to make a willful, intentional choice to go there and know where it was and be told where to be, what time, when.
But you had to shuttle guests, and like you said, I think the term is appreciable asset. It can't be an appreciable asset. It can't be something where you actually kind of make money from because of that tax write-off. It just really binds you in how you can actually use this building, or else you will have to pay the money back.
I think it's possible they could take this concept and stick it on one of the cruise lines, or just build a ship that's just...
Well, they do Star Wars days on the cruises, don't they?
They have a Star Wars themed bar on the Wish, and then on I think both the Treasure and the Wish. Now they have a Star Wars themed kind of interactive experience for the kids in the kids only areas of their current cruise ships.
A haunted mansion bar on the new one, and
the Treasure.
Yeah.
So and there's Smart, because on a ship that holds what? How many passengers do those ships hold? 2,000?
Yeah, you're probably talking about
No, the
2,500.
300 or 400 at the most over the course of that cruise want to go in there and have a themed drink, and that's about right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I went to the grand opening of the current MGM Grand, not the first one, the one that not the one that's Bally's now, but the other one. When people asked them, "What the heck are you doing with a theme park?" and "What are you doing with?" and they had a production show, you know, with the topless dancers and the magicians and whatever, and they also had a star showroom with people like Dean Martin and Smokey Robinson and whatever. And they said, "Well, look, some people come for the show, some people come for the gourmet restaurants, some people come for the theme park. It's all about getting people in the building and walking past the slot machines." Well, if you take the slot machines out of that equation, those other things sure have to be a lot more of a draw to make it work at those prices. So, you know, I don't know about that.
I think the interactive hotel experience, I think, could work, but it had to be done by somebody like Universal. And I think a Harry Potter themed experience where you actually stay at Hogwarts would be
one of the first
awesome.
traditions, supposedly at Epic, is a Hogwarts dining hall dining experience that's going to go on the expansion pad.
So good.
Yeah, that could work, but again, that's dinner. It's a show dinner. It's well, it's medieval times.
Right.
I see the sparkle in Erika's eyes right now as you say that.
I think it would be absolutely fantastic. I mean, absolutely good. Oh, cannot wait. But for Disney's big experiment didn't quite work out in their favor. However, what would those offices be used for? Well, we have an indication of what one of those might be. And guess what? It actually broke ground. Well, not really.
Yeah. They think this too.
This is a fun story. Disney officially breaks ground on Tropical America's land, replacing Dinoland USA. Walt Disney Imagineering shared a look at the official groundbreaking of the Tropical America's themed land set to replace Dinoland USA. The first section of Dinoland USA closed this past weekend, with more phased closures planned before the Tropical America's themed land's debut in 2027. So you can see right here, they're breaking ground. You see, they got the shovels in the ground.
It's a shovel-ready project. Wow.
Exactly right. And I think that's why they went with this. Some of those people, by the way, don't know how to hold a shovel. Very interesting. then you can see right here, they I can't believe this.
They put a pile of dirt there for them to move.
Yes, they put a pile of dirt in the middle of their parking lot.
Dumped a little dirt, and boom, there they are. Hooray!
So they just dumped a pile of dirt on the concrete. That's all I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, breaking the concrete and moving something.
So they got it from the Dino Sandbox down the way.
They should have had Johnny Depp there, forcing him to do it with a gun. That they're going to be buried with the treasure when they dig the hole.
I mean, I get that it's supposed to, it's a picture. It's not going to be the most realistic thing. I'm fine with that. But literally a plot of dirt, the president being a McDonald's worker was more convincing of being real than this.
That's a good point right there. Now they have done stuff like this before, but it's always been in kind of that, let's say the Disney way of doing some of these things. So you'll remember back before the groundbreaking of Avatar, Pandora, the World of Avatar at Disney's Animal Kingdom. This was, I think, like 2013 is when this specific photo took place. You can see right here we have a number of notable people featured in the photo. They put dirt in there, but they did some hedges around there. Obviously, you have the Na'vi back there. But you have George Kalogridis, which was the president of the Walt Disney World Resort at the time. You have Tom Staggs, which was the head of the Parks Division. John Landau, obviously the producer of the Avatar films. At that point, worked hand in glove with Imagineering to bring James Cameron's vision to life. We have Joe Rohde, who needs no introduction, and then Bruce Vaughan, who is now back at Imagineering. But every single one of these people right here I keep forgetting about the gal, and she retired in 2017. But everybody there is no longer there except for Bruce Vaughn. And now we have people breaking ground on what is supposed to be a huge project. And folks, I do this for a living, and I can't tell you any of these people and who they are. I have no idea who was doing this.
The other picture you had there, Vash, it's so much more obvious, that's supposed to be, fake. The giant oversized shovels,
Yes.
What's the name of the Na'vi dude in Avatar? I'm so sorry. The main character that just shows me how memorable these movies are. That might be a hot take.
I
but
forgot.
Jake.
Wait, Nolan. They should have had him over at the new one too, because he could have been Feliz Navi dude.
But it's like, they're not wearing like the vests or anything like that. It's obvious this is supposed to be like just a promotional type, because that fine line, between fantasy and what would realistically happen. When they just go like right in the middle with like what they're doing to Dino Land, it just starts looking like, okay, you guys have lied to us about a lot of things. This isn't helping your case at all. Like, what are you doing,
It's
guys?
the difference between prop giant blue shovels and quick somebody go to Tractor Supply and buy 6 shovels.
Right.
I mean, it just is.
Right. And again, this is supposed to be their next big project here at Animal Kingdom, and yet we're not going to have any pomp and circumstance for something like this, which a lot of people envision is going to be a very cheap overlay of this existing land right here. Bob, what are we doing? Like what?
Vash, you're forgetting something important. There
Please.
is one redeeming factor to this entire thing. They're using our theme music as background music as we
yes.
when Alicia visited.
Oh God.
That's true. That is yes. So
In that case, keep filming.
I think Alicia Stella from Theme Park Stop actually recorded a video from
She wandered
Disneyland
through the
Kingdom.
place where they had the Santa meet and greet, and playing in the background was our theme song.
So weird. So crazy.
It seems to be. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Vash.
No, go ahead, Bob, please.
No, it seems to be, look, they want to throw some dirt down and shovel it to kick it off, fine, whatever. But like you said, like you don't really know who any of these people are anymore. I mean, it used to be you would recognize a lot of the different people from Imagineering. You knew what their role was. You knew what what they had planned. It just seems to me that we've lost a lot of these, iconic Imagineers. And and I'm not trying to give these people a hard time that they're taking their place, but you have a lot of people who've come in, and I don't know if they're just listening to Disney, they're just not being as creative as they used to. I'm not saying these people are not hard workers, they are, but I mean, with just the way we've had things at WDI lately,
That's the most work they've done all week.
Hey, get that out. My whole point is, I miss the days when you actually broke ground, to start a project. That to me was more memorable and more cool. I mean, yes, I know they did this for Avatar, but the cool thing about that was they had the oversized shovel and the Avatar figure, and that was kind of cool. I thought that too. I'm like, really? That's the way they're gonna do it? But it's kind of neat. They got gold shovels of this new one for Tropical Americas, and my whole thing is I would be more impressed and more excited if they're actually really breaking ground in that area. Hey, they're tearing up the Dino Land. We're seeing what's going on. But we still have 2 more years. And my biggest fear, because we keep talking about this, and this is the normal thing, just like we saw the concept art for Monsters, Inc., and we've seen the concept art for Tiana's, and we've seen the concept art for the Haunted Mansion gift shop. Nothing is turning out like the concept art. It's always kind of turning out a little bit less than what we expected it to be. And that's my biggest fear, is that we've seen, these concept arts for Tropical Americas, but is it really going to look like that? And what are we going to end up with? And is it just going to be a cheap overlay, or is it something they're really going to put some effort into? And that's my biggest concern. Disney's cutting money every which way they can. Again, just like they're moving everyone to those offices where the Galactic Star Cruiser was. And I get it. You want to try to save money. You're there to make money. You're a capitalist company. I get it. But at the same time, how about giving people something really good? The way it was before, especially when Disney was alive, and even after he left, at least Imagineers really put a lot of heart and soul into what they made, and they made it pretty quickly. Now it's taking years and years and years to build something that, for me, like, look, it took what, a year to build Disneyland. It took a couple years or so to build DCA. Why is it taking so long to build these little lands that they're building? That only have 1 or 2 rides. It makes no sense to me.
Totally agree.
And I'll tell you what's worse, because that's my job.
You interrupting me? Just kidding.
No, never.
Come on, it was a joke.
Inspire me. You inspire me to mention this. When you talked about, is it going to look like the concept art?
Right.
Everything down the road does.
That's a great point.
Down at Epic does. In other words, if everybody made wild concept art and the reality was a fair imitation, then it wouldn't be as big a deal. But when your competitors draw a picture and the picture actually comes to life looking like the picture, suddenly you've given up the game. You've lost your reputation in a way that you can't get back. I'm not happy about any of this. Believe me, folks, I am not happy about any of this. But for God's sakes, if it looks like that, I'll be shocked, because my experience now has been it usually doesn't. It just usually doesn't.
Well,
and that's it used to be. Look, the most excited I was for a Disney park ever, I mean, other than as a little baby going to Disneyland for the first time, was for Epcot. I watched that video they put out, and I sat there dreaming about it, and it was better than what I expected. And I expect, as much as I have great anticipation for Epic, and there'll be things that are not perfect, but it's going to be better than I expected. I don't believe that about what Disney's doing anymore, that it's going to be better than I expect. And if it is, I'll be shocked. Happily, but shocked.
Speaking of my thing is, sorry, Nolan.
Oh, go ahead.
So my whole thing is Disney needs a good dose of competition, and they have not had it for a long time. And so that's why I'm hoping that once Epic Universe comes out and it turns out to be something amazing, which I hope it does, I want everyone to succeed. I want to see some really cool things, but Disney really hasn't had a ton of competition. So if Universal turns things around, and like you said, Lou, that concept art turns into reality, which it is, I hope that people are like, this is what I want. And Disney goes, oh, we need to go back to the drawing board. And hopefully it spurs them to do things like they used to do before and do them even better.
Except that they're in denial of the possibility they could ever have competition. Their attitude is, we have the name Disney. In fact, the guy from Rasmussen today on the Pro Show, he made the point. He said, people go to Disney based on the name Disney. He says, nobody goes to Universal based on the name Universal. They go to see what's there, but the brand name isn't the all-encompassing thing that the Disney brand name has been for these many decades and is fading from being. The moment in all of this transformation over the last several years that got me was when the guy that contacted Pro with a theater up in the Midwest someplace and said people were calling him about a movie asking, is it safe? Is it safe? And it was a Disney movie. And I'm going, God, that people out there are actually worried about whether they can take their kids to see a Disney movie is profoundly, profoundly disturbing. And that's the world we're in now. That's the world we're in. And they don't believe it. Iger and company don't believe it.
So I have a question with you to stay connected to this image you have on the screen here. I have a simple question. Where are all the animals at in Animal Kingdom?
True.
They're ninja birds. They're invisible. They're secret, deadly birds that...
That's our new thing. Where's the awesome roller coaster? It's going to be Epic Universe. Oh, it's invisible. It's right over there. It's themed to the Invisible Woman. We own that, right? It just makes no sense. And if I could say one more thing on this dirt moving topic before we move on. Recently here, actually just yesterday, I was watching, this is going to sound really bizarre to reference, but I was actually watching the Royal Rumble, the 1990s one with Marvin and the crew for his Patreon, for his wrestling stream. And in it, part of the beauty and the charm of it was seeing how you saw a lot of the old guards from like the 80s era of wrestling also competing against the 90s era of professional wrestling. So it was kind of like a best of both worlds. When you had that image showing, of all the people like taking the shovels and going up, and just the lack of a name that goes with those people, I want to see these people and get excited in the same way that sports fans do when, like the NFL draft or something happens where it's like, oh my gosh, these are going to be the next big stars. We're going to love these people the next 10, 15, 20 years. Not everybody, some people move on to other things. Some people don't pan out, but you're really hoping you're going to see someone that this is going to be the face of our franchise going forward. I just see these people and like, this is no offense to them. I'm wishing them nothing but success. But I just can't help with the culture of what's happened with the Disney company, with how much of it has just been, what have you done for me lately? Am I going to be here more than 5 years? I feel like a lot of these people could be like that Avatar image you showed where only one person remained. And that doesn't show a very long-term success plan. And it just, honestly, when I see the image, it just looks tragic.
Let's hold that picture for a second.
Please.
If this was Stalin's Russia, there'd be a bunch of shovels with no people. They would have airbrushed all these people out.
Right.
And they wish they could. They wish they could.
It's interesting that you say that because that's kind of where I was going with it. And I think Joshua could back me up here if he was with us. Disney doesn't want star Imagineers anymore, which is kind of bizarre. It's kind of weird. But apparently they did not like, back in the old days with the, Bruce Gordons, the Tony Baxters, the Tom Fitzgeralds.
The windows on Main Street.
Yeah, you would think, because they gave them, they had a disproportionate amount of power and influence over the company and its decision making. And they are getting, from what I understand, a lot of these guys are just fresh out of design school. Fresh out of college, and they're getting those people because one, you reduce your costs attached to legacy talent, right? So you don't have to pay for the experience or to maintain somebody's experience. You're getting somebody fresh out of college, so you can pay them whatever you want basically, and have a young group of talent. Make its way into the company on a regular basis. I don't agree with that decision making, but it's kind of what we're seeing. Also, too, you had to add in the, unfortunately, the DEI factor, right? And all of this kind of creates this witch's brew of mediocrity, which is why I think we're seeing very mediocre attractions, very mediocre expansions, like Bob mentioned, like Lou mentioned. It's hard to get excited for anything anymore because so many things have really been letting us down and been disappointing rather than encouraging and uplifting. So
yes, that defines everything that's wrong with because so much of our country, is focused on, consumerism, like the American dream, the experience, getting to live a life of luxury if you can. And that's the problem with all these companies now is so much of it is just get them out of high school, get them out of college, use them for a few years, done. And now you have to where people are going to all these, stores and events and everyone's miserable there. Everybody hates the experience. You feel like you've just been used by the time you're out of there. And it dominoes into the rest of society. Whereas like Disney should be the symbol of this is what America can be when we have goals, ambition, happiness. And yet, if they decided to treat their employees like that, the rest of the company now reflects it. And it just goes back to the fault of Mr. Iger himself.
Rots at the top, that's for sure. And I think, Go and Shogi, I think, had a really amazing way to transition to our next story from this one right here. Go and Shogi with the $4.99. While they're at it, they can fill a couple more sandbags to put them in front of Leota's Somewhere Beyond. Bob, I don't know if you heard of this story, but this Leota's Somewhere Beyond shop we talked about many times before on T3PO and That Park Place, and it just can't keep out of the controversy. And there's a new controversy erupting right now. I also like this as well here. Let me go ahead and put this up. Some people were commenting on the on the sand story there. And,
It's my favorite
awesome.
scene in that movie.
this is some pretty good stuff. All kinds of stuff. Some people had some great reactions. So I just want to go ahead and highlight those as well. just really something. But let me see if I can find my other story here featuring the carriage house. So like I was telling you, Bob, we have covered this many, many times. And when you think we're not going to cover it again, well, Disney comes around and does something that is just completely like, wow, are you really serious? So let's see here. Yep, here we go.
Are you talking about the flooded house?
I am talking about the flooded house. So the carriage house is the ex-gift shop for the Haunted Mansion attraction over there at Disneyland, opening in 1969 without an exit gift shop. And so Imagineers and, well, specifically retail, have been wanting to right that wrong for decades. And they had their little, merchandise carts and so forth that they would put out there. But finally, a few months ago, they got really serious and were like, okay, we're going to finally do an exit gift shop as part of this new reimagining project for all of Haunted Mansion. That would include a new queue to provide for disability access and also lightning lane. The interior would be spruced up as well with new bride as we've gone over. And of course, the carriage house that we see here, known as Madame Leota's Somewhere Beyond. Well, it did have some interesting effects inside of it, which were disappearing artwork. They would put up AI artwork and they would be gone later on. Yes.
Klepto ghosts. I blame it on klepto ghosts. I just,
Klepto ghosts, indeed. And it was really, really fascinating. So they bought the rights to some AI generated artwork. They put it up, and then people found it and went, "Okay, that's not good." And then the lead Imagineer on this project, Kim Irvine, was very surprised that people noticed such things in one of the most detail-rich environments, that being the interior of the Haunted Mansion, to ever exist on Disney property. That's fascinating. But then obviously we did see that these Amazon bot props and stuff like that kind of rounded this stuff out. Anyway, there's been no shortage of controversy for this specific carriage house here. And, it's in the news again. Disney Scoop Guy on Twitter, Matt Desmond, says this: Madame Leota's Somewhere Beyond at Disneyland had to close this evening due to flooding from a very light rain. Yes, a very light rain. Not sure how this is going to hold up in a storm when this required sandbags. You can see right there, this store that's supposed to be making money, within all of the operating hours of the Disneyland park, had to close early because of rain.
But it never rains in California. But man, don't they warn you? It pours, man. It pours.
Well, especially during this time, Lou, right?
I know we report on lakes, but this is ridiculous.
Well, let me tell you guys, I was there that day at the park, and I streamed from rope drop till 5 p.m. and then I went home. Now I brought my umbrella. Thank goodness I did, because it wasn't supposed to rain till 6. But it started sprinkling, and then it got heavy, and then it got sprinkling again, and got heavy. So, but when I say heavy, it wasn't like major. It's not like, it was a good rain, but it wasn't like a really hard rain. And then I went home, and while I was at home, having dinner with the family and whatnot, afterwards, I tuned into Cordy in California, who's another friend of mine who's streaming at the park. And she comes in front of the Haunted Mansion gift shop, and it's all boarded up like this. And we're like, what is going on? She's like, looks like it might have gotten rain inside or flooded. They got sandbags in front of it. And of course, that just started a firestorm between me and all the other streamers who were, there that day and or were talking about it. It's like, wait a minute. They built this shed, took them forever to do so, and they didn't account for rain that could go inside the store. No proper. I mean, they have rain gutters on the top of the roof, but
and that picture looks like it's above the grade, like it's slanting down and away from the doors. Granted, how you take the picture makes a difference, but
sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if something leaked inside and they're just blaming the rain.
Well, I don't know, but also I don't know if you noticed, but right below the bottom of the shack or whatever you want to call it, the carriage house, it's actually raised off the ground just slightly.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, it's like, well, why didn't they seal it all the way around? Or is that what caused the flooding? I mean, obviously it was going into the doors as well, because rainwater. And remember, if you're looking at this door like we are now, to the right of it is the bridge that goes, over the Tiana's Bayou Adventure Ride. So that water comes down the bridge and then can come right towards this shop. A little water damage could help. What? What did he say?
Could help its
It would.
aesthetic. All right, there from Jim.
Yeah, there you go, Jim T. But to me, it blows me away that they did not think about water running down and possibly going into the store. And this is not like a major rain. If they have a major rain, and by the way, it wasn't like flooded. There was water in the store, but it wasn't like 5 inches of water or something like that. But it definitely, got into the store, and it was not safe for people to be inside. So that's why they had to close it up. It blows me away that they did not plan for this.
I wish I could say I was shocked, but I'm not anymore. If you're building this, if you go find this shed in the catalog that they got it out of, and they tell you how to prepare to erect it on your property, on your farm, on your house, the first thing they tell you is you got to have a foundation that's graded so that water runs away from the building.
Correct.
That's exactly what I said at that park place this morning. I was like, why is the grade going into the structure and not out of it? What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There's
Go ahead.
got to be someone. Sorry to interrupt there, but I just want to say real quick. There's got to be someone during the construction process. The team they brought in. Who has worked with probably a lot of different kinds of structures like this, and probably a lot more in the future, knowing this company. But like someone just to say, "Hey, sir, you guys do know you're building on a structure that isn't going to work. Do you want us to throw in this that's going to cost extra, but something to prevent this from happening, like some sort of preventative plan?" And they would have had to choose to ignore his words. That makes no sense.
I can see that happening.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
I could definitely.
Go ahead. What are you going to say, Erika?
I could definitely see Disney doing something like that, where one of the Imagineers or engineers warns them about something coming up down the road, but they don't have the money for it now. So they kind of say, no, it'll be fine. And then here we are.
And it's not fine. It's not fine.
I could see that scenario happening very, very, very likely.
You think Irvine was shocked about this too?
I will only add that if I were building that prefab thing in my property, I don't care which way the grade went, because it uses those sliding barn doors, which have a track at the top, but nothing at the bottom, you would run a drain across that threshold so that if any water came close to it, it would drain off to a sump pump somewhere.
That's a good point.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Anybody would. Anybody anywhere in farm America, that great unwashed that Disney doesn't like, would know better.
That's a great point. Oh, look, the grade is going down from the door. Isn't that interesting?
Good news, guys.
And
we
by
can
the
build
way,
our
if
own
they're
Haunted
going to
Mansion
close
gift
it,
shop.
They couldn't find two barriers that matched. I mean, I'm sorry. It's like, well, we got a dirty sheet from one of the hotels that isn't open. Can we use that? All right, fine, whatever. Just put it up.
I would have loved.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is kind of interesting.
Well, we got
Got an
some
image on
there,
one.
They
on
did.
the other.
stuff. So
Lou, I heard that they actually did at the time, but the only ones they had left over that weren't in use were from Splash Mountain, and they said, "Oh, we can't use these."
It's I have to. Okay, let's see
and
here.
they don't even match. Look at how the one on the right is taller than the one on the left.
That's a good point. Right
Look where
there.
they
Never
come
thought about
together.
that.
I mean, it's like, well, we'll get something. We'll put it out there, and this stuff used to matter. All these little details used to matter, and it wasn't that they mattered because the people on high ordered it. Because the people who were everyday guys and gals working there cared.
Passion.
Now they don't. I guess.
Well, Lou, I think the details still matter because I think this is what Sam Spurgeon was saying here in the chat. This is a little bit dark humor, folks, but now we know the story of the guy hanging inside the mansion. Oh man,
good one.
So now they'll change it. Instead of hanging, he'll be sucking on a rain gutter. Of course, there's always more.
Oh boy, I mean, it is just. This is. You can't help but laugh. I mean, this is just terrible. It's just awful. But this is quality for Disney in 2025.
I would just say something totally and completely prejudicial, but I mean it sincerely.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't happen at Dollywood, and you'd get cinnamon bread.
That's a good point. Oh, cinnamon bread is so good. Oh, I could go for that right about now. That is for sure. But
you're making me hungry.
We will try not to do that to you, Nolan, right there. But hey, you know what? Ronan Bunny has something to say about this whole matter. Actually, about our previous story with the 499. Oh no, I just realized the animals in the Animal Kingdom are trapped with Nick and Judy in the Tree of Life. Someone save them. Yes. Yes, indeed. They're coming to the Tree of Life there in lieu of Bug's life. I will say, like, it's tough to be a bug. I think it either needed a refreshment or it needed a replacement. So,
because today's generation says the Dung Beatles, wasn't that Paul's earlier band?
Yeah, exactly, right. Who's seen a Bug's Life? I don't know. Not me. So
Bugs, isn't that the things the Starship Troopers kill? Like, I thought they were bad.
Yeah.
Guys.
The memes. Well, there you go, right there. Thank you so much, Ronan Bunny, for that. That brings us to our next story, and one I want to get to while Bob is still here, because I don't think, Bob, were you able to comment on the story of the changing of the guard at the Disneyland Resort?
We talked about that last week, didn't we?
I couldn't remember, and so, but I did want to bring it up just one more time, only because that was breaking news at the time that we heard it.
Yeah,
and I couldn't get to my deep dive that I usually do with topics like this, so I wanted to bring it up just real quickly so that people kind of know our thoughts about it. So Thomas Muslim named the president of Theme Park and Experiences Reorganization. So Thomas Muslim becomes the president of the Disneyland Resort, taking over for Ken Potrock. Now, Ken Potrock is a very interesting person. I love his background. I obviously am supportive of any president at Disneyland Resort. However, I think things could have been better. He got a raw deal, obviously, when he came in, because literally, during the handoff from his predecessor, which was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Rebecca Campbell, who went over to Meow Wolf, which is very interesting.
Wolf? What the heck is Meow Wolf?
In Vegas.
Of course, I could say Blue Loop.
It is Vegas. You're right about that. I forgot about that.
It's the Omega Mart.
Omega Mart, which, by the way, one of the inspirations for the Galactic Star Cruiser. That is, so it all comes around there. But before her, which she was only in there for just a very brief, couple of months, it was Josh D'Amaro. Before him, it was Michael Calaglazier. And before him, I believe it was George Kalagridis, who went over to Walt Disney World. We have seen a tremendous amount of turnover within the last, I would say, 7 to 8 years of the parks president's, of the Disneyland Parks president's position. So I think Ken Potrock, when he came in, people were looking for some stability at this position. Well, that didn't last long, because I think a week after, the park shut down for 412 days as part of COVID on the behest of not just Gavin Newsom, but I'm Bob Iger, as it would come to be known later on. And so we saw a lot of different things happen within this time period, obviously, under the direction of Bob Chapek and Josh D'Amaro. Josh D'Amaro, like I said, was president of Disneyland Resort, then Walt Disney World Resort, now head of experiences for the entire Walt Disney Company. They implemented, Genie Plus, now Lightning Lane, so the Fast Pass benefit that would be included with your stay now is a separate charge. We saw the introduction of a reservation system for park tickets and park entry. We saw a number of things that I don't think people enjoyed. One of those things being the reduction of the Disney look and so forth, which wasn't great. And I think that changed the culture of the Disneyland Resort, especially, and something that, hasn't really, I think, healed from the pre-2020 days. So when I see Thomas Maslam, who comes from Disney Signature Experiences, not just Cruise Line, but that includes Golden Oak, that includes Aulani, that includes Disney Cruise Line, obviously, but also I think it also includes
communities too.
Story Living and Disney Vacation Club.
Right.
Where service is like the epitome of what you do, right? And it's definitely this a division where customer service has been not just at the forefront, but really prioritized by this division. I think it could really improve the Disney Resort if maybe a similar tact is taken with this resort coming from Thomas Maslam. I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on this. And are we seeing the last of this major turnover at the Disneyland Resort theme park?
Well, it's never the last. But
yeah,
I'm interested in reading this guy's bio compared to the others. Most of the others came out of consumer products.
That's a good point.
This guy comes from hotels and food and beverage. That's a huge difference in management. And by the way, when it says he learned hotel management in Innsbruck, the school in Innsbruck, I forget the name of it, is one of the world's best for that. Mm-hmm. So this is a guy with some serious chops when it comes to managing hotels and food and beverage. How that translates, we'll see. But I would say it's a step towards the right direction. But of course, again, it's all about the people at the top and what they let him do or don't let him do. And so who knows?
Yeah. And I was talking about this last week, based on his experience, I do think that, it's going to be a good move for Disney. Now, don't get me wrong. Ken was a great guy. I've met him a couple times, and, he was always, the good face of the company out there. He knew how to communicate with, the public and the employees and stuff. But service has really gone downhill, and it's not his fault necessarily, but I think there's a lot of factors in why service has gone downhill over at Disneyland. And when I read this background for Thomas, I was like, okay, he's got a really good service background. He's obviously done a lot of things with, the signature experiences, hotel resorts, etc. He has a great opportunity to come in and make some changes and obviously, hopefully put that service back into, the customer service at Disneyland. And I'm hoping he'll do that. There's some other things I'm hoping he'll do too, but we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. I mean, this is all not taking place until March of this year. So we still have another, month before it happens. But I was excited to hear because I'm kind of familiar with him a little bit. So I was excited to hear that he's coming over. And I hope that everything I'm thinking right now is going to happen, but we will have to wait and see.
I remember, and I think I said this last week, but now I have some images and pictures to go along with that. I remember back during, in the lead up to the 50th, there was a big Parks President change going from the Paul Bressler / Cynthia Harris days over to the Matt We Met regime, him coming out of Disney Cruise Line. And he really had a good understanding of like the theme park product. He had a good understanding of like customer service and he would wear his name badge and actually stand in line with guests back in the day, which was completely unheard of for a park president to actually do at that time period. And he championed many different concepts and ideas, a lot of a different investment for the Disneyland Resort. I believe in the lead up to, I think, the opening of Tower of Terror, I think he was like, hey, you know what? Let's ride Superstar Limo, which had been mothballed at that time, but it was still there. And it was like, well, we need all the capacity we can get in the lead up to the opening of this big attraction, that being the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror over there at Disney California Adventure. He wrote it, and he's like, no, this cannot open. This is not to Disney standards, or Disney quality. So I think he had a really good head on that issue, and we started to see a lot of improvements, both in cast morale, a lot of the entertainment options, a lot of refurbishments that would happen all over the park. I think the Enchanted Tiki Room and Space Mountain were both heavily overhauled. Space Mountain closed for a couple of years while they redid that track and added all kinds of new effects that the company still benefits from today. And later on, Matt We Met would be the head of Cedar Fair because they recognized the talent that he was. And he was the head of Cedar Fair, I think, all the way until I think a couple of years ago, right before the merger between Cedar Fair and Six Flags. So a tremendous proponent of quality coming from Disney Cruise Line. I think we could be seeing the same thing here with Thomas Muslim, but just don't know until it actually happens. So I just want to go ahead and provide a little bit more information regarding that topic. It hit, like I said, breaking news at the time, and I wanted to make sure that our viewers stay informed with what's going on in the parks. There you go. Let's see here. We have... yes. Bob, have you heard about this? Yesterday, news broke about what is finally coming to Universal Studios Hollywood this spring and into summer with FanFest nights. Did you hear any of this on your side?
I did. Bob? In fact, I almost bought the pass for FanFest yesterday because it's a really good deal. It's like $250 to go to every single night of FanFest. However, I think I'm going to just go to one night because it is a little far from where I live, and I don't know if I get my money's worth. I definitely would if I was able to go several nights. But this is what excites me. Is the Universal FanFest nights has a lot of things that I'm looking forward to. You know, Disney has been doing their After Dark events for a long time, and they're getting really stale. They're getting really old. They were also just selling the Star Wars. In fact, that went on sale to the general public today, the Star Wars After Dark event. You know, last year they canceled the fireworks. They didn't do a whole lot for Star Wars. I actually went 3 nights. I bought 3 nights, and I got a 4th ticket for free, and I still didn't get everything done that I need to because they just don't give you enough time to complete that. And it was just kind of like, well, they canceled fireworks. They're not really doing a cavalcade. This is kind of boring. It's not as exciting or fun. Universal FanFest sounds fun. I mean, it sounds exciting with, you got the, Star Trek and Dungeons and Dragons and One Piece. I mean, you name it. They've got all these different things that are really cool IPs that they're going to be interjecting into the park, whether it's a show or interactive thing. I mean, it just sounds fun, cool, and competitively priced too compared to Disney's. I think it starts at $67 or $73, something like that, a night. And then of course, if you want to do, what is it? Oh, $74 a night. And then if you want to go up from there, you can, depending on if you want to get the Universal Express or whatnot. But $250 for a full pass that goes for every single night, that's a pretty good deal. So I just think that based on how they do, I think this could challenge Disney in their After Dark events. And again, I'm hoping, because Disney really hasn't had anything challenging them for the After Dark events, maybe with what Universal is doing, it'll spur them to make some changes, because really having some food, some photo ops, and that's about it. I mean, it's getting really old over at Disney for these After Dark events. They're just not as fun or as exciting as they used to be.
Or you can be like Animal Kingdom and don't even have any After Dark events.
Yes, you could do that as well.
Well, actually, Nolan, that's not true. If you were willing to pay $785, you can actually dig some dirt over at the tropical whatever with one of those really nifty shovels and spend the night at the derelict hotel.
So it's always been a little bit challenging to do late night events at Universal, only because it has the neighborhood surrounding nearby. But I think a Halloween Horror Nights way of doing this, I think, is really, really awesome. So I want to get into this a little bit here, because now we have a full scope of what they're actually doing, and I think it's just super, super cool. I'll tell you all about some information that I've heard, but we'll go along with 5 fires here. New details for Universal FanFest nights: Back to the Future Destination Hill Valley. This nostalgic experience is based on the 1985 Back to the Future blockbuster movie and invites guests to time travel back to 1955 Hill Valley alongside the film's iconic characters. Time travel begins the moment guests climb aboard the studio tour fan tram, nice, and venture towards Courthouse Square, the original filming location for this classic film, located on the Universal Studios world-famous Hollywood backlot. Brimming with authenticity, Back to the Future Destination Hill Valley will pay homage to this groundbreaking film by inserting guests into many familiar scenes with iconic props. From Hill Valley with the original Lion Estate monuments to the time machine on display, guests will have the sensation of going back in time as they partake in energetic recreation of the Enchantment Under the Sea dance from the film and Hill Valley Festival, plus experience a stunning recreation of the Clock Tower lightning strike, sending Marty back to the future multiple times each night. Also, some photos of the of what they're promoting right here. Here's the cool thing. So the Enchantment Under the Sea dance is going to see Marty rock out on stage like he did in the film.
Nice.
More than that, though, you can see Courthouse Square right here from this Google Maps view of it. Again, this is the location that Robert Zemeckis and Steven Spielberg and Bob Gale, where they filmed Back to the Future back in 1985.
And boy, has it changed since they filmed it.
Oh,
that entire soundstage complex behind it wasn't there.
No.
In
it
fact,
was
the
not.
gates to the development, with the lions were right back there, and also the 747 stage was back there. So,
right. So it's changed a lot, and I know they're in the process of restoring the facade for the courthouse itself and the clock tower that they did do casting for, by the way. They have a clock tower lady on the casting call, which is really, really cool. But I have heard from insider sources that they were doing tests of the DeLorean back here in the backlot to see how fast it could actually go. And from what I understand, for the lightning strike sequence, it's going to be a combination of lights and pyrotechnics to make this happen.
Nice.
It is so cool.
That's just one part of FanFest.
Yes.
And that sounds exciting,
Yes.
right? That's like, wow, you got a lot packed into this, and it's just Back to the Future part. We haven't even gotten to the other, franchises and whatnot. But that's why I think this is going to do so well.
This is so cool.
You can see the DeLorean get struck by lightning.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And drive off with flaming tires, I'm sure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I will
Flaming
never
tires, the whole-
complain about Universal having too many screens ever again because they learned. They learned from the mistakes of the past. Disney triples down on it. This is something, the film, there hasn't been a Back to the Future film in, when did the third part 3 come out? Was it the early 90s, late 80s?
1989, 1990, maybe.
Thank you.
89,
Thank you.
90.
And yet, they are going to get far more attention and far more love and admiration for this than Disney, who have had films such as Princess and the Frog, Monsters, Inc., all these properties that came out after the fact, but they kept them irrelevant. Meanwhile, Universal is going to go for a franchise that actually still strikes a core with people and deliver one of the most amazing divine experiences known to man. It's going to be awesome.
And by the way, how many of the younger people who come to this will know the film because their parents showed it to them at home on DVD?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to those other properties you mentioned that kind of get, forgotten and maybe justified.
I would so dress in a 1950s poodle skirt. Oh, it'd be so much fun.
Oh, the dress up.
I would-
I never thought about that.
So much
Oh,
fun
yeah,
to
the
get dressed
cosplay
up.
opportunities here.
It actually encourages, some fan interaction as opposed to being told what you're going to enjoy, as opposed to, hey, how about we actually just let people go in and vibe? It's so beautiful.
It's awesome, and we have even more released for FanFest Night. So this comes from Pierre Soretta, who does Ordinary Adventures on YouTube, and I believe /film, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let's see here. They will have a couple experiences akin to the mazes at Halloween Horror Nights. Star Trek Red Alert will be like a Halloween Horror Nights maze, but instead of a conga line of people going through it, you'll be pulsed as a group from room to room to experience a full story. The story is we'll be visiting the USS Enterprise, and of course, something will go wrong. An otherworldly threat wreaks havoc on the ship and will navigate through many of the ship's environments, from the sick bay to the control room to the turbo lifts and even onto the iconic bridge of the Enterprise, which is actually the set piece used in the final season of Star Trek Picard. We'll even get to experience a transporter.
Whoa, Vash. I know a few weeks ago, I geeked out like a 5-year-old going to Toys R Us for the first time about this thing. But are you telling me this is the actual set they use?
Yes.
Star Trek Picard?
Yep, actual set.
Okay, if I die of happiness on the stream, you know why. It's been nice knowing y'all.
That's why this is so exciting.
Right. Now, don't go anywhere, Nolan, because we're going to need your thunder for the time machine sequence. Yeah, exactly. Don't go dying on me. Go ahead, Bob. You were saying?
Oh no, I was just saying that's why this is so exciting. Is like there's so many things that they're putting into this. It's like they're really trying hard to make it an amazing experience for everyone, and that's what's exciting. And that's why I have a problem with all these after dark events at Disneyland, is because they're not really trying to do anything like that. It's like, oh, you want a photo op here, and you want to see this character here, you want to try these foods over here, great. How about giving me an actual experience? I mean, but the only experience you really get over there, especially when it comes to like the Star Wars After Dark event, you get to see Captain Phasma come down with her first order stormtroopers, and it's kind of like a little cavalcade of them, walking and talking and leaving. You don't really get, an exciting, I don't know. You don't get this immersive experience that you're getting with Star Trek or with Back to the Future. Those are the things I'd like to see at Disney.
And it continues with Dungeons and Dragons. Secret of Waterdeep is another one of these group pulsed experiences that will immerse us in a story from the games, and we'll come face to face with the legendary beholder Xanathar, who is being brought to life as a 12-foot puppet from the Jim Henson Creature Shop. We got to see some early photos of this, and it looked incredible. I don't even care about D&D, and now I'm super excited for this. Very cool stuff right there. And don't worry, Harry Potter fans, you're not left out of the rain. They're bringing fantastic creatures to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, including the Niffler that we met at Universal Studios Japan, the baby dragon that recently debuted there, and a new magical creature that has never been seen before in any of the parks, the Akame. I can't wait to see this thing in real life. They are also bringing the Hogwarts Forever projection show from Orlando over to Hollywood for the event.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, not to mention Yoshi's coming back for Super Nintendo.
Yoshi?
Yoshi!
Yeah, broke it. Broke it.
Sorry.
You broke it, Bob.
Sorry.
That's gonna be
I'm excited
Erika,
about it.
Hold that thought. In Super Nintendo World, they are unleashing a Yoshi meet and greet for the first time. We finally get to meet Yoshi. There will be a scavenger hunt to find 5 colorful Yoshi eggs, and once you collect them all, you get to meet a different colored Yoshi. As far as I know, Yoshi has only appeared in parades in Japan. This is awesome. We'll also have drone shows illuminating the sky over Super Nintendo World. Oh my goodness gracious. Erika, please.
That just leveled up Easter. Can I just say
there's no H in fettuccine.
Easter bunny.
There's no
That's
now we're
H in
gonna start hiding Yoshi eggs.
There's
Oh
no
my
H in fettuccine.
I would like to. I would love to quote Miss Belinda Carousel and say, "Who knew heaven was a place on earth?"
This sounds. Yes, Yoshi. Yoshi is coming to FanFest nights. Here is I think official promotional image that they have. Let me see if I can get this on screen right there. Boom. We got Yoshi coming. Now, here's the thing about Yoshi. We don't have his attraction that Epic Universe will have. So, Yoshi representation is a little bit light at Hollywood, but apparently we are going to be getting a meet and greet. And also, too, like Lou said, and yes, there will be new food here as well, including Yoshi's fettuccine Alfredo and Yoshi's apple melon smoothie. Can't wait. We got a similar looking lassie
There's
in
no
Japan.
H in fettuccine, for God's sakes.
Forget the fettuccine. We have apple melon smoothie.
Right.
This is this is quite awesome.
The 10-year-old in me is just like bursting.
Ah!
I want to cry.
And don't worry.
Get out of here fast enough.
Here's the thing, anime fans, you're going to be represented as well. So they're going to have two animes that'll be represented as part of this experience. It'll be One Piece and also Jujutsu Kaisen, if I'm not mistaken. Those will be kind of like your scare zones. So instead of like an immersive experience like you saw with D&D, or even a show type experience like you're seeing with the Back to the Future portion of this, you'll actually get to see and meet and greet with characters in distinct places like you would in scare zones back home.
I'll tell you, I can see why you'd want to go more than one night. There's a lot going on here.
Exactly. You gotta spend the extra money to get some more time there. And Vash, I feel like there's even a deeper point there, because if they're starting to open the well on anime, like outside of like the mainstream ones like Pokemon and stuff like that, like anime is huge now. Like the amount of kids are gonna want Naruto, My Hero Academia and stuff. If they're already going into that well before Disney even smells in that area, do they just want to conquer the world? Like, when are they gonna stop here?
I'm telling you, anime is huge. Anime is huge now. It's an emerging medium, right, or art form that people are really getting into. Hey, look, listen, Vash. People ask me, where did I get Vash? Vash comes from Trigun, an anime that was produced back in the 1990s. It's featuring Vash the Stampede. It is definitely huge, like Nolan was saying right there. And yeah, this is the kind of the first time that we've seen anime representation in a theme park experience like this. I think it could blow the door wide open if you were to, if they were to do something like this again, and they were featuring different animes as time went on. I think this is absolutely massive. I mean, Universal, like Lou had mentioned before, we had Mark on from Rasmussen on WW Pro, and he was saying, look, nobody goes to Universal for the Universal brand like they do Disney. So what does Universal do? They provide the brands that people want to go to. And I think they're really keying in on those brands specifically, which is why you get FanFest nights. And I think it's awesome. I think it's truly something.
For years and years, like, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but it was kind of always the running joke in a lot of mediums on like the internet and all that, where it's like, oh yeah, all the cool stuff is always in Japan, only in Japan. Tokyo is just such a marvel. They'd always have like special designated like Pokemon stores, or they have the Nintendo Museum in Japan. Like, just this was like a recurring thing for like the past 20 plus years. Now we're finally starting to see this stuff actually happening in America, now that not all of entertainment is just under the clutch of the Walt Disney Company. And you know what? I'm all for it, because I think there's a lot of charm to love from other cultures and other mediums that is going to expand to more than, just what the young kids are, like the little ones are experiencing. And of course, Disney's for everybody, but there's been so many neglected brands over the years. And could this just be the beginning?
There's a line from 1990s, Back to the Future 3. We just brought it up earlier, where they're trying to, piece together the DeLorean that has been left behind by the Doc Brown who went back to the past, went back to the Old West, right? And they're piecing it together, and it's like, oh, look, this tiny component failed. Oh, look, it's made in Japan. Marty goes, wait a minute, Doc. What are you talking about? All the best stuff is made in Japan. And Doc goes, unbelievable. That's it right there, right?
Love it. Here, I can't help but have this passing thought of Disney executives and Imagineers and all their engineers going to these events and going to Epic Universe. And I think some serious humble pie is going to be thrown at them when they visit this stuff. You can't tell me they're not going to. I mean, come on. They're going to, because in a sense, they have to. Mm-hmm. They're going to want to see, what their competition really looks like. And then I'm curious as to, are they really going to go back to the drawing board and bring their A game back? Or is it just going to be what we've been seeing, the creative bankruptcy and mediocrity, but this also communicates to Disney that they're not the only studio in town that has created a nostalgic generational movies and characters. and Universal has just absolutely resurrected. I mean, they've just hit it on the nail with IPs that have had cult followings for years and are being passed down. Like even my kids know Back to the Future. They're not really into Star Trek, but there's a whole following for that too. It's Disney's really in for it.
Well, what I think is great about this too is that you're getting a bunch of different experiences all in one night, right? Where Disney's got their Sweethearts event, and then you got the Star Wars, and you got the 90s night, and you got the Pride night, and you got the Oogie Boogie. And I get it, and Oogie Boogie, I guess I'll set that aside because I do like that one, But the thing is that you've got all these different fun IPs to experience in one night instead of having to buy tickets to a bunch of different, FanFest events. It's like, hey, you got one with a bunch of fun stuff. I don't know, maybe they'll expand, they'll, do some other ones or spin-offs, depending on how this goes. But that's why I'm so excited, is because it's not like, okay, we're going to have a whole night, just geared towards Back to the Future. No, we're going to get Back to the Future and Dungeons and Dragons and One Piece and, and Star Trek and Hogwarts. I mean, you got all these fun things to experience.
I would be fascinated to go behind the scenes and know how many people who buy a one-night ticket in the first couple of days go on to buy a second one later in the run because they say, God, there was so much more we didn't get to do. We got to go back.
That's a good point.
Well, so that's why I was thinking about doing the pass, but I do live a little far from there. It's taking about a little over an hour to get up there, and in traffic in LA, it'd probably be 2 hours. So so what I'm thinking about doing, that's why I was thinking, you know what, I'll just do the Universal Express. I'll buy that pass for me and my family, and we'll just do one whole night where we can get everything done because we got the Universal Express. If I was going to buy the pass, I wouldn't get the Express. Obviously, I would just go up there multiple times. It just depends on for people like me or theme park casual who live kind of far, it's all probably only worth it just to go maybe one night, two if we're lucky. So
and I was going to bring up families too, Bob, because Halloween Horror Nights is awesome. It's great. I love the vibe of Halloween Horror Nights. I love the quality that they imbue in every one of those mazes. The scare zones are fantastic. But the problem with Halloween Horror Nights is it's not really meant for families. So that kind of limits the people going to it. Here, you get that same Halloween Horror Nights quality in terms of atmosphere, tone, all that, but it's not horror specific, so the whole family can enjoy it through all these different franchises. I think this is a fantastic move, Universal's part.
And
you get the same vibe.
Go ahead.
That's why I'm excited about it, because if you think about it, like, I like Star Trek. I know my wife doesn't like Star Trek, but I like Star Trek. My daughter loves One Piece. We all love the Harry Potter, and we all love Back to the Future. I like Dungeons and Dragons. So there's a little of everything for all of us to enjoy. And that's what I like about it. And like you said, it's for families. I mean, I'm totally taking my wife and daughter to this because it's going to be a blast. I haven't decided which day we're going to go yet, but I'm going.
And I wonder for younger kids who might not know some of these franchises, how this pays off in the long run, in the sense that, what was that all about? That was really great. Well, come on home. I'll show you the movie. Right. And suddenly you introduce people to new worlds that they weren't aware of that go on for another generation. I mean,
it's the hook. It's what keeps these brands relevant for so long.
The flywheel, as Disney used to call it, right?
Yes. And, we're talking about, all these properties that, had just been, because Disney was the head honcho, were just neglected for so long. And now we're finally seeing, where, as Bob was saying here, so many different brands that can connect with so many different people. And now some people who might be, more traditional, they're like, well, maybe that's a little too new to put in the park, something like that. I decided to do a little look in here while this was going on. Steamboat Willie first debuted the cartoon in 1928, and Disneyland itself opened in 1955. That was 27 years difference between the two, roughly. Mario has been around for 44 years now. Long overdue. You've had literally generations and family to build up this brand, and all this is going to do is just create all the more new fans. The little kids going to the meet and greet with Yoshi, and I'll be there too, honestly. But everyone's going to be lining up for this stuff.
And Nolan, did you notice in the most recent update from Alicia about Epic, the portal has a circle above it, an orb or whatever they call it, for each one of the portals with a symbol of that land. For the Nintendo world, it flips. One side is the 8-bit Mario and one side is the modern Mario.
Oh,
I saw that and I thought, God, is that brilliant? Isn't that brilliant?
Oh, that's
Lou,
clever.
you made my evening right now.
That just says it, you know? And golly. I'll tell you the other thing.
Awesome.
It's one thing to say, oh, Back to the Future, and they're going to show you the replica of the court. To do it on the real courthouse square is another dimension entirely.
Oh,
to be in the real place where it really happened, you know, where it was really shot, where it really, really, really happened. That's a different kettle of fish altogether. Even though there's probably not even a piece of wood left from those days because they've rebuilt it so many times.
It has been a long-standing dream of mine to walk through Courthouse Square because I have not. No,
oh, well, okay.
Have not done it.
Back when my wife was working for Universal in their real estate division, they used to have the annual employee Christmas parties on Courthouse Square. So that was kind of fun.
That's so cool.
Without all the show, you know, but
of course,
food and what have you. But that was a lot of fun.
But back in the day, it was always like, you know, I knew the history of it. I knew like this is the place where so many of these movies have been filmed. But you know, back.
Well, and look at that picture right in front of it here, that round turret. That's the Sting.
Yeah. That's very.
That's the lookout over the Sting.
Yes, and growing up, it's like, man, that would be so cool just to walk through there, understanding that it's a set and there's nothing beyond, but to have it, you know, like you said, the dimension of performing a show for Back to the Future, the lightning strike sequence of that film, that amazing finale in the actual Courthouse Square is a dream come true. Like this is, I can't even.
All I can tell you is, guys, I'm you know, a little health conscious right now. If I wasn't, I'd fly back to LA for this, and there's nothing at Disneyland I'd do that for. That's how good I think this is going to be.
Wow. Oh,
I really would.
We got the LW Go seal of approval. I mean, this is it.
Please just tell me I get to sit in Captain Picard's chair. That's all I'm asking. This is all I need.
I think you do. Actually. I think that's a thing.
Well, you used to be able to do that in Vegas, you know, at the Star Trek thing, which was great. You know, they actually beamed you aboard. And what they did was you walked into an area and stood on a aisle, and the lights faded, and they dropped in the room, the transporter room, and suddenly when the lights came up, you were there.
That is
and then you walked out into the hall and went into the bridge and got on a shuttlecraft, which was like a Star Tours kind of vehicle, and flew over the Vegas Strip and crashed into the Hilton Hotel where it was. And when you came out of it, there was some guy with a broom in a back alley of the hotel. You know, oh, what are you guys doing down here? This is employees only. Go down here. And you came out on the promenade of DS9, and that's where all the stores and the restaurants were. It was great. It was really great.
Amazing.
So I recently I can't. There was a con, I believe, in LA that had like the Enterprise chair on display that people could like sit in. So like I think that's a big part of the experience for this Star Trek.
Well, of course, the plot of the Vegas thing was that the Borg were coming back to try and kill Picard's ancestor. One of you must be related to Picard, and they pick whoever's the baldest guy and say he's the guy. So
that's awesome.
That's great.
So, Trey, I want to know: are you going to buy a ticket and come out?
There are people who want me to go very, very badly, and I am seriously contemplating getting out there and carving out some time and getting out there. I have to actually interface with Pro because we're supposed to be doing some events around that time. So you'll likely get me out there. It's just I can't look to see the DeLorean on Courthouse Square. Yeah, I got to get out there for that. I must admit.
Someone's got to go to review it and write about it.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
I used to have a friend who was on the grand jury in the DeLorean trial, and he had all the plans of the real thing, you know, and the whole story, and he couldn't talk about it. But yeah,
Oh wow,
But,
wow. Okay, that.
I mean, look at that. Never mind scrolling down. Back to the Future, Star Trek, Dungeons and Dragons. Got any IP that'll compete with those three over there in Mouseland? I don't think so. Not lately.
Well,
certainly not whatchamacallit, indie anymore, and certainly not Star Trek anymore, and certainly, Moana and what's her name? The one that stares at you on the ride now. And then Harry Potter. Yeah, okay, fine, okay, and well,
good stuff, right? Now, I want to leave this latter part of the show a little bit more free form here because I want to. I don't know. This video looks awesome. I just want to talk about it. We have a great aerial shot.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Switching gears a little bit here, going over to Orlando for Epic Universe. The Burning Blade Tavern has been lit. It's been ignited.
It's alive.
It awesome. It looks so cool.
A manufactured shed, and meanwhile, Universal's giving you a windmill on fire.
And by the way, Nolan, there's two different sets of fuel, one for daytime, one for nighttime, so it looks good either way.
That's right.
You know that?
That's amazing.
Two different fuel mixes.
Gosh, that's so cool.
I am so down for this. I can't tell you how incredibly excited I am. Look at that. Look at how it shoots out the flames when it starts up. Apparently this is going to be happening every 15 minutes, I believe, in this Dark Universe portion.
Meanwhile,
of
how long has the dragon in Fantasmic been missing?
You just got to bring it up, Luke. You just got to bring it up.
Pyro is pyro, right? So
this just looks super cool. I can't wait to see.
I tell you, the one thing though is it makes the restaurant feel small somehow.
It does.
Look at the building,
Yeah.
I have no idea what the capacity is, but yeah.
That's the Burning Blade Tavern restaurant that's going to be under there.
Mm-hmm.
It's it does make it look a little bit small, but I think that's maybe the what they're going for, perhaps. I don't know.
Well, it's an illusion, but still.
Sure. Looks so cool. And so the other thing I wanted to bring up regarding all of this, I'm trying to find it right now. Give me a little bit, but do you guys listen to Theme Park Stops podcast at all with Alicia Stella?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Lou, I know you do. Anybody else?
She was going nuts over the fact that they have a Stella cookie and a Stella something else at the Stella Nova, and she's they named it after me. I got to eat it.
That's so Alicia right there. So this is interesting. She was remarking about how she was a little bit concerned with the coaster, specifically the not the Cosmic. It's Stardust Racers.
Oh, right, right. The bit about the paint.
Yes. What was your take on that?
Well, once they pointed out that it was in very set areas around Welds, I thought it was probably on purpose and not what everybody said, which was that the wheels were somehow scraping the paint off, but that they were doing something to the track and had taken the paint off on purpose and would put it back.
Right. So
what it is, folks, right out there at the front of the Stardust Racers, is that, I forget whether it's Stardust or
Stardust Racers.
Yeah. See that? The yellow paint, it looks like it's scraped off on the track. But if you look carefully, it's at very set intervals. And people were saying, oh, gee, it's already coming off because of the friction of the track. I think they wanted to do some kind of work on that track and had to take the paint off to do it. So, they've been adapting. There was that whole area where they were doing that foam berm over by the carousel and then decided it didn't work and took it out and put landscaping instead. So they adapt.
They do.
And their kind of adaptation isn't, taking a whole giant ship off of the mountain that we were conceptualizing and making radical changes from all the anticipation we were showing people with our concept arts. They'll tweak things a little bit, but you're still going to get something that's tried and true, the original vision.
And these pictures, which are of the French streets of the Harry Potter area, with all that white light on the roof, I don't know whether that's work light or whether that's to make it kind of glow from down in the street where the people are. See what I mean?
Yes. I thought that was work light.
I think it's to make it glow.
I mean, if you're looking up from the street, you would kind of see a glow behind it, implying that the city went on forever, so I don't know. I think it's weird that those string lights on the tent for the circus show looks like there's kind of one not there yet, but hey, they're still building,
They're still building it, indeed. I'm super curious about what Epic Universe is actually going through. The thing that concerns me with the coaster is just it's being done by Mack Rides, and I don't know. I don't think they have the pristine reputation of somebody like a B&M, which even now doesn't have the most sterling reputation in the industry. I hope that everything's going well. She was alluding to the fact that people on her forums, which I don't have first-hand experience with, but I know that several of the people that we interface actually do have experience with that. They were suggesting that or at least she was, that the ride experience was a little bit rougher than they wanted. Lou, what was your take on that?
Yeah, that's what they said, but I don't know whether they said that because they'd ridden it or they'd seen it, or whether it was because they saw that paint and thought that's why it happened.
Right.
So it's kind of a, which came first, the chicken or the egg kind of situation there. I don't have any idea, but I know I want to ride it.
I know too. Wizard saying the coaster's rough. Rumors say it. They think they're trying to smooth it out. Erika?
I was just going to say, this is Mack, relatively speaking, Mack Rides, for being in the roller coaster industry. They're relatively new compared to other companies. I would say their sister coaster to Stardust Racers would be Blue Fire here at Europa Park. That coaster, I would say, really pushed the limit on Mack Rides in terms of their ingenuity. And then when they landed the contract for Stardust Racers, I think this has really just pushed them beyond their limit. I've heard some rumblings that people are concerned about the launches because apparently Mack is known to have a slower launch than Intamin. So there's a little bit of a concern of how thrilling it's going to be. But according to my husband and my older son, who have ridden Blue Fire, and Blue Fire is a launch coaster, they swear it holds just as well as an Intamin. But if this is Mack's, they're really pushing the envelope, then I could see it having a few hiccups, just because it's, I don't want to say uncharted territory, but they're definitely, they're trying to really break more and make a name for themselves in the U.S. And it shows. It really does. I hope that this is going to be a huge success for them because I'm rooting for them. I love Mack. I love the company. I have so much respect that this company started, and it still is owned and operated by the family.
Yeah.
Everyone in that family is hands-on in that company. So I'm really hoping that this is a massive success. It kind of breaks my heart to hear they're having a little bit of hiccups, but it's better to do it now, tweak it out now, and maybe they can get it smoothed out before opening day.
Oh, I'm sure they will. They've got to have that up and running.
I hope
but
so.
It is telling that the area underneath it, they haven't started doing any kind of landscaping or whatever so that they can still get in there and work on it. That seems a little behind to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's a good point right there. When I hear about a company looking to do something ambitious and really extend themselves, I can't help but think of like Zamperla, for example, for Top Thrill 2. And they just
same.
go, yeah, you're right. No, look, we're kind of thinking that. Look, I hope the best for Mac, and I really do hope they get these things out of control. But this is a risk. It's a risk for these companies and corporations to embark on these large scale projects like this, multi-million-dollar investments in these coasters. They could really lose their shirt. So I'm hoping very much for the best for Mac. I'm rooting for him. Man, I just think of the recent history, and I'm a little bit concerned as well, I suppose.
We might not lose our shirt, but we might lose Bob.
We might lose Bob, yes, and Bob. Yep, I got you, buddy. Don't worry, we will get you. We'll get you going. One last thing for you, Bob, before you leave.
Yep.
Did you hear the Twitter Spaces, or the X Spaces, I guess, that was recently held between Scott Gooston, the Cali Bay, or Five Fires? We featured his tweet before, and Just Ask Danny, I believe, on Twitter. They mentioned something a couple of times. I kind of want to get your take on it before you have to run, and then that might conclude our show, actually. But before we go, he was suggesting, that was Danny, that is, was suggesting that Ken Potrock, before he left, he had said that I guess there will be a rejuvenation process that will occur within Disneyland, and the same or greater additions that we've seen to lands like New Orleans Square or even now Bayou Country would occur for every single Disneyland at the Disneyland Resort. What was your take on that? Because I thought that was a very interesting point that he noted in that X Spaces there.
So I didn't see that, unfortunately. So I'm not sure what they were exactly talking about. But so they were talking about doing a whole refresh, like the Bayou Country and New Orleans Square.
Yeah. So you know how New Orleans Square, they've added Tiana's Palace, right?
Right.
Taking over the old French Market, and we have Eudora's shop. Eudora's.
Yep.
What is it called again?
I don't remember, but it's Eudora's. I just call it that.
Yeah. Yep. But we saw like multiple things happen in New Orleans Square.
Right.
That's just not even including the Carriage House and the Haunted Mansion and everything like that. I guess Ken Potrock was saying that kind of project or that kind of level of reinvigoration to those lands would occur with every single remaining Disneyland. We know that Toontown just got redone, and we know that Bayou Country just got redone. So is the next step Tomorrowland?
Tomorrowland should be the next one, because they were supposed to announce at D23 that they were going to do a model of that park or that land, and they didn't do that. So that really should be the next one, and I would be excited to hear about that. I mean, like you said, they don't need to do anything really to Galaxy's Edge, Bayou Country, New Orleans, Toontown. They could do something with Frontierland and kind of spruce up a little bit. Fantasyland really doesn't need to be spruced up at all. But Tomorrowland, that is something that definitely needs to do or be done. So I would agree that would be cool if they could do that. And if Ken's mentioned that, because I hadn't heard that he actually mentioned that, so I'm gonna look into this a little bit more. But I would be fine if they wanted to add or something or take something away. I pay attention to the permits every single week, and sometimes multiple times during the week for Disneyland and DCA, just to see what they're doing and what they're changing. And I haven't seen anything regarding this. Just a lot of, they're updating pipes and electrical and things like that, but nothing to suggest that they're actually doing anything like that right offhand. But who's to say that it's not going to? Definitely Tomorrowland. I would think most people agree. Tomorrowland is not Tomorrowland anymore. It's gotten really old, really stale. Yes, they redid Space Mountain back in 2005. All right. But now we're 20 years later, and they need to really overhaul that land. They need to do.
Have they done the change on Autopia yet, or that still is in the future?
Nope, still it's in the future. Yeah, they're going to put electric vehicles instead of the gas cars. They're going to get rid of the gas cars, put electric vehicles in, and then the rumor was, and my source was pretty dead on this, that they were going to put the people mover back in and redo that. That was the big attraction they were going to bring back for the remodel. But the remodel that we think is going to happen in Tomorrowland is not going to happen. It's going to be more of a refresh, and it's not going to be a complete overhaul of that land, which they really need to overhaul it. I mean, that's what they need to do. So
remember what happened
who
the
knows?
last time they tried to revise the People Mover? Are they sure about this?
Well, but think about it.
The story was that rocket rods weakened the supports to the point
Right.
where it can't hold it up anymore, right?
Sure.
Right.
Safely.
The ride was too fast for some people to see stuff. It was too slow for others, and at the same time, it went racing down the track, and instead of having banked tracks, they left the actual track the way it was. And so when it came down to the end, it was definitely ruining the supports. And it's unfortunate because it was a great concept, but was very, very much flawed. So if they could redo it, it would have been great, but they didn't. They didn't have the budget for it. And as it was, they kind of were running on a low budget for that attraction. And they did what they could, and it just failed. And it's sad to think that for so many years now, we've been without. I mean, that track is up there. Even my daughter, who has never been on the People Mover here at Disneyland, but she has at Walt Disney World, it's like, why don't they do something? And it's like, I wish they would. And I liked Rocket Rods. I thought it was fun. It wasn't great.
I did too. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I definitely miss the People Mover. And if I could have that back, I definitely would.
I do hope
it was
back.
good capacity, good throughput, and a relaxing moment in a busy day.
When it worked.
A lot going for it. When it
the
worked.
throughput on it, I think, was excess of 5,000 people per hour. It's just a crazy amount of capacity.
Continuous people eater. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely incredible. Tomorrowland definitely needs something here. And you talk about those permits, Bob. I know that they're now in the process of tearing down the storage facility for the red card trolley over there at Disney California Adventure, and it was like a $9 million project. Is that right? Just to take down that structure?
Ridiculous. But they are doing that right now, and it'll be interesting to see. The nice thing is, as of February 8th, that is going to, I think that's the last day of the red trolley. But the nice thing is they're going to put one of the red trolleys out on the track, so you can still get on it. You can still do a photo op and stuff like that. So I'm glad that they're leaving at least one out on the track, and then we'll see what happens after they build a new attraction.
And we're going to have a show on that as well when that actually occurs, because I hate that. I do not like that.
I know.
It's very important.
Me too.
Well, where can we find you, though, Bob? I know you're not going anywhere. They're not going to decommission you. What's going on?
Well, you can find me over on my channel, BarryPlays28. I will be streaming again on Sunday at Disneyland. But if you guys want to come and hang out with me tonight, I'm going to be a guest on a channel called Living Dead Fam. Living Dead Fam, they cover theme parks as well as everything that's horror related. And they love to do ghost stories and ghost tours and things like that. Well, I was on the show last year talking about my experiences as a tour guide and my ghost stories on the Queen Mary. And we're going to do a little part 2 to that. I'm going to tell a couple more of those ghost stories I didn't share last time and my personal experiences of ghost stories, which you're not going to believe this. I actually had a ghost story happen to me, or a ghost experience, this past Sunday. And it happened with my wife right in front of me. And she was like, what the heck just happened? And it was just crazy. So come hang out with us tonight.
I've had one of those at the Mission Inn in Riverside.
Oh, that's a great place too.
Yeah. Wow. That's an interesting experience, isn't it? When you say,
it is.
Come on. Come on.
No.
Yeah.
That place is pretty cool, and there's a couple of weird things that have happened over there. But yeah, if you guys want to come hang out with me tonight, I'll be on the Living Dead Fam as a guest, telling my ghost stories, and then I will be at Disneyland on Sunday. Also, don't forget, come check out the Park Streamers Hangout. It's going to be pretty awesome because we are going to be, I'm going to spill the beans right now, but we are going to have some special guests on the Park Streamers Hangout on February 10th, which is a week from Monday. And we are going to have a couple of people, Christopher Merritt, and we're going to have Eric Linksweiler, who actually just wrote the book on Knott's Berry Tales Preserved. It's a brand new book coming out. And Chris is a former Imagineer and everything. They're going to be on our show. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're talking about the book they wrote, as well as all the things they've done in the past. It's going to be a great show. So come hang out with us. That's a week from Monday on February 10th.
I have a copy of the book. I won't keep you any longer, but I have a copy of the book.
I have 3 copies of the book.
Do you? Oh, it is.
I just got it yesterday.
It is a beautiful book. Apparently, thousands of images they have to scan in and recolor and remaster with the participation, I believe, of Raleigh Crump in order to get that all together right there. It is fantastic. If you're a theme park fan, definitely gotta check it out.
Pages of goodness. I love it.
It's some good stuff right there. I love geeking out over this stuff. But please, you can find Berry Place 28 over there at Berry Place 28 and Park Streamers Hangout as well. They're both in the chat right there. Give them a subscribe. Thank you so much, Bob.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and thanks for having me on. I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All righty. And I believe, let's see here, we have a super chat going, referring to the rocket rods, which we were just talking about right now. Let's go ahead and get that up on the screen. Jay with $10. Thank you, Jay. Very much appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I had one full uninterrupted ride on rocket rods. It was so fast. It was too fast in the turns, considering that they weren't banked. I was a teen, and I thought that it hurt, and not, quote, Matterhorn, hard on butt hurt. Yeah, okay, so the story of the rocket rods. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of a time machine back to, 1995, 6? There, where Disney thought, hey, you know what? We need a reimagined Tomorrowland. We need a really refreshed Tomorrowland. And what are we going to do? We're going to do Tomorrowland 2055. And then the budget came out, and it was like, you're not doing that. Because, again, that time period, 4 years or 3 years earlier, Disneyland Paris had just opened over there in Europe. With a thud. And the Imagineers spent a lot of money on that. And for it not to return a profit, and to be in the red that it was in, I mean, it almost took down the entire company. I mean, it was a real shock to the system right there. And so the company really did pull back on a lot of its theme park investments and how much they were spending on these big type projects, which was really, really unfortunate. So Tomorrowland got whittled down. But the Imagineers still felt, look, if we're going to do a reimagined Tomorrowland, very much in the style of what we did for Discoveryland at Disneyland Paris, well, then we really do need an e-ticket attraction. So what can we do? We can redo the People Mover and make it rocket rods. The original idea was to have bank track. But unfortunately, the same time this was going on, well, GM at the time was sponsoring Test Track. And the idea was, okay, we're going to use this same system over there for rocket rods at Disneyland, that we used at Walt Disney World, and we can kind of, we can make use of this technology. We wouldn't have to spend that much more money.
Economies of scale, as they say.
Right. And GM was going to sponsor both attractions. Good to go. But the Test Track Imagineering team had really difficult problems getting that attraction up and running. And so, GM pulled out of the Rocket Rods version of this attraction, believing that they didn't want another headache on their hands, and one that was going to be very expensive to maintain, as they found out with Test Track. So when they lost their sponsorship, they also lost their ability to bank the turns, because the turns were going to be at a very much of an increased cost as well. But they still wanted to go forward with this e-ticket concept, believing that they could, that it would make the day in terms of this 1998 version of Tomorrowland. Well, it opened, didn't have bank track. Unfortunately, computers couldn't keep up with the system. They went through tires far more frequently than they ever thought possible. And yes, the legend goes is that they did damage to the track as well and had to close up shop. So I think in 2000, I believe, off and on, the ride was on that point only lasted, I think, maybe one entire season. They took it down, and they were saying, hey, it's going to come back online soon, and it never did. So that's the story of the rocket rods. Super unfortunate, too, because the People Mover used to be very, very reliable. I mean, I think it was Bob Gurr's one of his most reliable designs that he ever implemented at Disney parks. And, I was able to ride it a couple of times, actually.
I did, too.
Right?
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
I think it was a lot of fun as a kid. Obviously, it wasn't as themed as, like, Indiana Jones Adventure, right? But I thought it was fun for what it was, and it's just unfortunate that it took down not just one, but two attractions. It's really, really sad. So,
yeah.
There you go. That's the history of the rocket rods. Hopefully, we get something back in its place. But before we get to that, we got to get over to Erika and Raph's channel right here and give her a subscribe because, boy, oh boy, she's creating some good stuff and she deserves a subscribe. Erika, where can people find you on this great, big, beautiful web?
You guys can find us at Erika-Raph, and we're kind of going through a dry spell right now. But I don't know. You can find me here when I'm invited or on Pro Show, and Lorena's Spice Lounge. And I just recently did a podcast with Sam Wolf, Life of a Military Wife, and we discussed military marriages and what got us through and adjusting to military life in the beginning. So I highly recommend her channel, and you can listen to the 20-minute podcast of us talking, and we're going to be doing more of those with military stuff, with military life. So I'm excited for that little side gig. But right now we're just kind of trying to figure out where to go with the channel right now. It's been really cold, hard to get out. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Well, hey, you know what? This YouTube game is tough, but you know what makes it better? When you guys go over there, subscribe, support the channels however they possibly can be supported. Definitely follow Erika where she ends up landing, whether it be on the Pro Show, I think on Tuesdays. So you're making pretty regular appearances there. Also with the Lorena's show, Spice Lounge, which I absolutely love being on, but I just haven't been able to because time. It's time. The ever-flowing river. It's super unfortunate, but definitely check out Erika with Erika and Raph wherever she happens to be, because I think she's pretty awesome. So thank you.
Me too.
Absolutely. Let's see. You know, somebody actually said right there the reuse of the Circle Vision Theater was actually pretty nice as a cue. Yeah, it was. So a little bit more Rocket Rod's history. They actually reused the Circle Vision 3D Theater, or not Circle Vision 3D, but Circle Vision Theater in order to house the queue for the Rocket Rods, because boy, oh boy, was it inefficient. And that's why a lot of people didn't get to ride. And that line was regularly 3 to 4 or 5 hours long.
It meant we lost, like you said, 2 attractions to do that one, which was a shame, because Circle Vision, is a good thing.
It was. But thank you, Jay, for that. Nolan, we gotta know where you're gonna be on this beautiful wide web. Where can we find Nolan Thunder?
That's still my favorite thing in the world right now. You can, when I'm not on my own YouTube channel talking about lost media mysteries and internet mysteries in general, with little documentaries with B-movie horror and comedy on the Nolan Thunder channel, the Nolan Thunder Experience right there, baby. You can catch me on Toonie Talk TV tonight on the Toonitown TV channel, ran by Marvin the Movie Monster. Every Thursday at 8 o'clock, we do this show where we cover all the crazy media news, everything from superheroes to crazy celebrities to just about anything under the sun. We tend to have tangents about music, Harry Potter, and, even comic books. So if you like that sort of thing, please check us out tonight. We're having a big celebration of 5,000 subscribers. Yeah, there's a 5K celebration. It's going to be a big show. There's going to be a lot of special guests, a lot of games and stuff. It's going to be a great time. I got to say, you got to give it a try at least once, because it's something, once you dabble in, it's like Hotel California. Once you check in, you can never leave. Trust me, I've been on the show for a while now. So I really hope you stop by tonight. We're going to be having a lot of fun there. So, but yeah, thank you so much, as always, for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure to be here with such an amazing panel. And I don't know, maybe by the time Toonitown starts tonight, maybe I'll remember how to start doing the talking thing. Yeah.
Well, all of the relevant links are in the chat actually right now, provided by Tom F. Thank you so much for that. Very much appreciate you running mod duties for us. Very much. I love that. But you actually, everybody here, will be redirected to Toonitown TV after this show has concluded. You have to wait a little while. Just leave the browser open. It's fine. And you'll have a front row seat to Toon Talk TV with Nolan Thunder there. on the panel itself. It's a whole lot of fun. Definitely check it out. Lou, what do you got going on over there with the genre guys, and maybe some Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you?
Yes, well, that you'd be the you and the you with the right. Well, as long as we don't spell it EWE, we're good, right?
Yes.
But yeah, every Sunday at 2, you and me and all of you get together and talk about things show busy. And we're busy doing that. And then, of course, the genre guys. And we've been kind of out of sync because our fearless leader, Hangry, has been on the road. But we've got a bunch of things.
Moment of silence
you hit
for
the mute
Hangry.
button, Lou.
I did. I was going to cough and then I didn't. So sorry about that.
You're good.
There. Now I did for everybody. But we put a couple in the can to get ahead. And then, of course, Pro said, there's 2. Let's put them both on. And so, of course, there went that plan out the window. But we've got lots of good things coming. And they're great movies. And they have bigger stories to tell. And then lately, we've been doing this thing called the Backlot Jukebox, where we figured a way around all of the prohibitions about doing music by picking other people who, for some reason, don't care and have the music and putting links to them in our show. So if you want to hear some great movie music, come check out the last few episodes for that too. And of course, that appears first run, the Roadshow production, as a member perk on the Pro channel. And then it goes widescreen to all 2,400 theaters or whatever here 3 months later. So, and that's what we do. And, it's fun.
Yes, and everybody's asking. So, Juliet, I'm so sorry. And Bro's in the chat as well, asking about some of the stuff as well. Juliet, next genre guys on T3PO will be occurring very, very soon. I'm going to try to actually get it up tomorrow, interestingly enough, because I finally have just a little bit of free time. So then we can go ahead and get that on and get back onto that regular cadence.
Movie next?
We're still working on the airport.
Okay. Well, that's a good movie.
Yes, but soon will be Alvarez Kelly and a couple of others that we have in the can.
You know how much I love Alvarez. Look, folks, you want to go back to the days when a movie had theme songs? Alvarez Kelly has a whole opening theme song that has just kicked butt. It's Bill Holden and Richard Widmark, and it's about beeves. It's about feeding the troops in the Civil War, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And it has this opening about Alvarez Kelly, that ay, senor, because he's supposed to be Mexican, but he's got an Irish name. And they sort of explain it. And they shot the movie in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, so go figure. Anyway, you'll hear about that and more, but it's a great picture if you want to just go find it and watch it sometime.
Absolutely.
Did you happen to say that you guys did an episode on Airport?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just saw that movie for the first time this past Sunday, so I'm definitely going to check that out.
Well, that's the next one that Vash is putting up here, probably, he said tomorrow, maybe. So, and of course,
hit the subscribe button
on the Pro. There you go.
Absolutely.
Airport, the granddaddy of all disaster movies. And by the way, the thing about Airport that I want to stress, man, when he put his mind to it, Dean Martin could act.
Oh, yeah.
He really, 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 really could. So there you go. And in that picture in particular, I think. So, and he's got a lot of competition with Burt Lancaster and everybody else in that picture. But anyway,
memberships. It's quite the film. Just amazing. Martin was.
It fits the weather recently too, because it's all about snow.
Yes, that's
in
true.
Some parts of the country. So there you go.
That's true.
And then that great line, the great George Kennedy line, when they finally dragged the 707 that's been blocking the runway by giving it full power and running it out of the hole that it's in. And the kid next to him says, "The book says it can't do that." And he turns to him, he says, "That's the great thing about the 707, kid. It can do everything but read."
Oh, I love that.
Those were the days. Those were the days of great movies and great lines and great performances. So, anyway.
That's it. That's fantastic. The security and American Innovation. Those are the days. Anywho, if you'd like to go ahead and be part of the conversation on Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you know where to find us at T3POnline@yahoo.com. Send us questions for sure.
About how the backlot really works as opposed to how they tell you it works on all those bad PR pixie dusty things. Because we debunk the bunk on that show on a regular basis.
Absolutely. And I think that just about covers everything here. Definitely give a like to the video if you haven't liked us yet. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit the subscribe button. What are you doing? All the links for our panelists are wonderfully provided by Tom F. in the chat, and also too in the description. So you should be able to find everything that you're looking for right there. So yeah, just about covers everything. Thank you so much for joining us here on T3PO Live. Let's go ahead and get you over to Toon TV. Just, don't touch the dial. It'll be starting up momentarily. Thanks, guys. We will see you all later.